Welcome back to the podcast. Today is Friday, April 10th. We're back to the podcast.
We're back! Like I told you when I did the podcast earlier this week, that this podcast is going to happen with both me and Jason, because believe it or not, we have 13 days until the NFL draft happens. And I honestly, the draft does a lot for me. I have a lot of fun watching it. I will literally watch pretty much the whole thing, if not like everything for like the first like 5 rounds. And then the 6th and 7th rounds, like, okay, fine. Practically none of these players will probably last. But there's a lot to talk about, and because of that, and because of how I messed up the last couple weeks not getting a podcast out, that means that the little people that do come back and listen every week, that you guys deserve to have 2 this week, and that's what we're going to make it happen. So, the plan for today, we don't really have any basketball to talk about, and again, if you've been listening for a while, you already know this, but Jace isn't that keen on talking about basketball until it comes to him. If he has a basketball topic, it's all good, but if I want to talk about basketball at all, it'll automatically turn into I'm sucking off KD or whatever whatever basketball thing is happening, doesn't matter. So, no basketball today. It's mostly even though there's really not much anyway. We're the last week of the NBA season before they get to the play-in next week and then the playoffs the week after. So, today is all football. A couple of news stories I wanted to talk about first, and then we'll get into some wide receiver stuff that I had, because Chris Sims, he does his rankings every year for all these different all the different positions, and what really started this whole thing a couple weeks ago was me wanting to react to his rankings because they make me upset by just the thought of them. And so I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to have my complaints about his rankings and this, that, and the other, then I may as well just go and do a little bit of research myself. And then that's when I asked Jace to do a little bit of research himself, take a look at some of these receivers that I wanted to talk about, receivers and quarterbacks, and then we will be talking about them today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Let me and then after that, I do want to talk about one mock draft, just kind of run through it, give our thoughts on it as we go. But that'll be at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. First thing I wanted to talk about was, hold on, why did I get out of that? I would have had to go back in that anyway. Bigger story of today, at least. The Philadelphia Eagles got some receiver help when they acquired Dontayvion Wicks from the Green Bay Packers, one of their 5 number 2 receivers that they have in their roster. The Packers got a 5th round pick in this year's draft and a 6th rounder next year. Okay. First off, my question is why? I understand why the Packers would want to get rid of Dontayvion Wicks, because he's one of their 5 wide receiver 2s they have. Best receiver on their team is Christian Watson, right? He's the best one, but he's never healthy. He's the only one I'm like, he can be a number 1 receiver if he can stay out there on the football field. But then everybody else, I would say, is a number 2. I would say maybe Reed would be like the closest thing to being like a really good 2 that would be a 2 on any team that he would go to. And then the rest of them are pretty much like meh. And I get it. They kind of drafted them all in like the same thing, in like the same kind of couple drafts. So the idea of Dontayvion Wicks is going into his last year of his rookie contract.
I understand.
Get rid of him, get something back for him, so you don't have him walking out the door for free, because they're not going to pay this guy to stick around, because let's be honest, he hasn't been that good. Last year he had...
I don't know who this nigga is. That's the whole problem of what you're saying right now. Of you're talking to me and I don't know who this is. I knew Romeo Doubs. I know Christian Watson. I know Jaden Reed. There's one more I can vaguely, like, if I looked at him, I'd know him.
Well, Romeo Doubs ain't there no more.
He's at the Cowboys.
No,
he's a
Patriot.
Patriot. That's what it was. My fault.
They paid him good money to go be their number 2, even though they don't have. They have the same issue. They don't have a number 1 receiver either.
No, they have a 5 number 2s and Kayshon Boutte, who is not a bad player by any means,
but he's just not consistent enough to be anybody you want to rely on.
Fucking number 2 half the time.
Yeah,
he's just dog shit.
No doubt. By the way, reason why you don't know who Wicks is, he caught 30 passes for 332 yards and a pair of touchdowns last year.
That's tight ends number.
So he didn't do shit. Tight ends do better than the best tight ends are getting 1,000 yards.
I know, but like,
that's like college football tight end numbers. No, that's college football tight ends.
Not all tight ends. If it's a tight end, that motherfucker's gonna have at least 500.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about just
2
like
of your tight ends had 500 yards this year.
No, top tight end on Ohio State.
Yes.
Top 10 on Ohio State. He had like 300 yards.
Yeah, but you guys have.
But we have so many wide receivers.
Like,
it's kind of not cheat. It's kind of cheating.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally
Penn
understand.
State. There we go.
Yeah, they feature their tight ends a lot, no question. That's the only guys that can catch passes on their team. That's all they can get. At least as of up to last year. Now they have a new coaching staff, and they'll figure that out hopefully. Okay, so this is where my problem is for the Eagles side of this. Why would you fucking need him?
What does he do for you?
Because in theory, they already have a number 1 and a number 2. Yeah. But Dontayvion Wicks will be their number 3. They gave him a 1-year, $12.5 million extension.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money to give for, because now you have control of him for the next 2 years, this year and the next year.
Yeah, but that's like a lot of money for a dude who don't do much.
Exactly. Unless, do you remember the story that came out about there potentially being a trade on the table between the Patriots and the Eagles for A.J. Brown?
But that is less in my brain now that they have Romeo Doubs.
No, because Romeo Doubs is number 2. A.J. Brown will be their number 1.
This is a relatively deep wide receiver draft.
Again, I think the Patriots feel like because they made a Super Bowl last year that getting a young wide receiver and having to coach him up and make him an NFL guy, I feel like they're closer to a championship than what we think they are. Again, they made the Super Bowl last year, so I think partially we have to eat that fact. They did make a Super Bowl, even though they didn't deserve to. And really, do I think they could do it again? Probably not.
Hell no. I think they lose fucking 8 games this year.
I think they're taking a step back this year. I really do. I think they may win 10, 11 games, maybe make the playoffs.
Maybe the fact Drake May was dog shit all fucking season.
Well, during the season he was good, but the playoffs he's terrible.
I think the last 8 games they played, he was not good.
He was in the MVP conversation, so I have to give him that credit. But
whoa. The MVP conversation was trash this year. Garbage. Literally, it was fucking awful.
Matthew Stafford won it rightfully.
Yes. At no point did you think it was somebody else.
People were trying to make the case for Drake May.
Oh, but that's the problem. He's the only other person who had a fucking case.
You're not very wrong. You're not very wrong on that one. Yeah.
Who else had a case? For like 2 weeks, it was fucking Rodgers. What the fuck are we doing?
Rodgers never had a case. He was awful. He wasn't awful. He was just fine. Sorry, I can't be too negative. I find myself being so negative on Rodgers, even though he technically did what he was supposed to do last year. No, you're not wrong. There really wasn't. It was really a 2-man race for the most part. Maybe you could have an outside argument for like a Puka Nacua for how good he was doing, or let's be honest, JSN was doing as great as he was. But again,
it literally was just nothing.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But so this is my thought. I think this trade gives more credence to the idea that the Eagles think they may be without A.J. Brown to start next season. Because if you still have A.J. Brown going into next season, why would you need to bring in a guy like Wicks and pay him the extra money when he wasn't good as one of the number 5, number 2s they had on their team last year? So I think this trade shows that there is a little bit of validity to that. Again, I don't think there should be, because I think, especially with the whole story about Jalen Hurts coming out last week about the whole thing about him, and kind of like it pretty much outed him as pretty much saying like, hey, all of the rumblings behind the scenes that said that Jalen Hurts was a part of the problem, that story proved that he was a part of the problem, and that A.J. Brown wasn't as crazy as what everybody would like for him to be. Did he handle like an adult? Probably not. But again, he's a wide receiver, so you kind of have to expect that to a certain degree. But if all of this is happening, why would you? Again, I'm not going to say why, because but there's a potential that they fucked around for so long. Now the relationship between A.J. Brown and the organization is so bad that now you have to get rid of him, even if by the end of this next season they decide Jalen Hurts is gone too. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe the easiest answer is the right answer, is that, A.J. Brown, as good as he is and as talented as he is, the relationship is so bad you have to get rid of him now. So maybe that is the case. But I think that it's probably more possible now because of this trade, because it doesn't make any sense if you do decide to keep A.J. Brown at all. Because even as a third receiver for you, giving him that kind of money doesn't make any sense to me at all. But again, for the Packers, I totally understand getting rid of him because you just have so many guys. You're not going to pay them, so may as well get something out of them now as soon as you can, rather than letting them walk for free when they're not going to do shit for you anyway. 30 catches for 300 yards. Don't even come on. 2 touchdowns? Like, what are we doing? Again, I'm not sitting here saying that the Packers offense is the greatest of all time, but they're good enough to, if you're a good wide receiver, you should have more than 2 touchdowns and 30 catches in a season. So that's it on that one. It's really weird, but I think it does give a little bit of credence to the idea that A.J. Brown may actually be gone before this next season starts for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next story I wanted to talk about. Let's see here. What was it? The Falcons pick up the 5th-year option on Bijan Robinson. Do you think we're going to be going through this whole running back trying to get paid hell all over again?
Oh, most definitely. It was always going to keep happening.
You think so?
Yes.
Here's my hope, right? Is that he is such a big proponent in that offense. Like, they literally don't have shit else. Like, I guess you can say that they have other pieces, but the 2 dudes on that team is Bijan Robinson, and it's... Why am I forgetting the wide receiver's name? That sucks for me. This is so bad. Drake London. Those are the 2 guys for this offense.
There's no way you do this alone.
I don't know. It's as soon as you show up, I do forget names, but I just instantly just start Googling it to figure it out as I'm cursing myself out for forgetting the name. But those 2 are the main 2 dudes in this offense. They don't have a quarterback they believe in right now. They brought in Tua Tagovailoa to maybe be a guy to either take the job over or to push. Nope, I had his name. Not Desmond Ridder. Oh, I don't remember the guy before him. No. Michael Penix Jr.
Desmond Ridder is on the fucking Saints.
Yeah, I remembered him, but I don't know how Michael Penix.
What?
So either for Tua to take the job or for Michael Penix to be pushed to then become. Here's the thing: he got hurt so late in the season, he won't even be healthy to start the year, no matter what. So with all that being the case, I think Bijan Robinson is the only thing keeping fans coming into their stadium. They don't have shit else. They really don't have anybody else. Their defense, I guess, is halfway good. You now have a new coach in there. I think Kevin Stefanski will be able to pull whatever talent you have latent on that team. I think he'll be able to figure something out, even if you have...
See, this is where it changes me just a little bit. Is I think with Stefanski on the roster, I think it'll help a lot more with Penix because I know Stefanski's system is very quarterback friendly of just go through your progressions. Because if I recall, Stefanski's system is you go from left to right, but you never go back left. Once you're out of progressions, you now have to make a ultimate decision, which is why it works so well for Baker.
Yeah, as long as you're willing to listen. I think Stefanski is another,
follow the scheme and it works.
Follow the scheme, and I'll get you somebody open. And again, there were times where the Cleveland Browns offense did actually look good, mostly with Baker. So the idea that he could make either Tua or Michael Penix Jr. the potential answer, I would not be terribly surprised by that, especially with some of the weapons that they have in that offense. But here's the thing: if Bijan leaves, what the fuck? Like, I feel like this running back more than anybody, he has not been hurt. He has been fairly healthy throughout his whole NFL career so far. He has been your best player. You literally can just throw him out the slot position. He can go catch passes for you all game and not have to run a bit. So I feel like of all the running backs that we have seen with Christian McCaffrey being like that dude, this is the closest thing to a Christian McCaffrey lookalike that we have in the NFL.
I agree.
Like being even more dynamic than Christian McCaffrey because of how Bijan Robinson can put dudes on skates. Like that, I just think Bijan Robinson is so versatile that I just feel like even if you want to have the thought process of, oh, is he going to be able to last long enough as a running back to make it worth the money we're going to have to pay him? But I'm just like, he gives you so much versatility everywhere that you could just diversify all of his touches to where you can keep him relatively healthy as long as he knows. And he's not one of those running backs that's going to be stupid and try to just go out there and put out some pain and try to put himself through anything. He knows how to play smart he really does. And he's athletic enough to do so. So I just think he is one of those players that you should not Don't play the game.
Especially when he's not like injury prone.
He's been relatively healthy, man. He has.
Throughout college, he was never injured. And he gives you no problems. So it's almost like, why not pay him? I understand, like, you're going to have to pay him top running back numbers.
That's saying top running back money ain't that much. Like $16 million, I think, is the top of the market right now for running backs.
I know, but when running backs just hit a wall and fall away.
They do, health-wise, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he can go play, you can go be your slot right now. That's the way they use him. Like, I'm just like, he's so versatile player, and he can use him in so many different ways. I'm just like, he's that Christian McCaffrey where I think he could probably break the mold of being able to last a lot longer and still be very dynamic.
The Panthers didn't pay McCaffrey either.
Yeah, but I also think that Christian McCaffrey has played better since he left the Panthers.
Because that wasn't, CMC wasn't off his rookie deal.
Yeah, you're right. They did pay him once and then traded him before they had to pay him again.
Before they paid him.
True.
So I think that's just kind of the way it works. I think it's just the way it works with running backs is you tag them first.
Yeah, it's
and
just
then see. I think it's tag them, see if you get an offer. Because running backs, in all honesty, they are not a dime a dozen. You will find another good running back.
not a Bijan level running back, dude.
No,
He is different.
But again, 1,000-yard rusher ain't all that fucking impressive.
It's not, but the fact that Saquon give you 2K in a season, I think that's what he did last year. I think he had almost 1,000 rushing and receiving yards. Yeah. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. Hold on, give me a second here. Bijan Robinson stats. He had. Come on, you don't have to verify me. Come on. No, Pro Football Reference, they have to verify that you're not a robot. Look and go to their site. Like, what are robots doing going to their site? I don't understand. So, Bijan Robinson in 2025, he had 1,500 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, and then he had 79 catches for 820 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, he had over 2,000 yards.
I'm just saying that you can find that again.
Yes, but I just feel like yes, you can find some sort of that production, but the combination of both. Bijan is amongst the Saquons, the CMCs, like those top of the line dudes. Those are very few and far between. So especially when you add that all into one player, like there's not a lot of dudes that can do both like he is doing. So I don't know. I just feel like if they try to play that game with Bijan Robinson, man, I just feel like it's a disservice because he has been the only constant in that organization since he's been there. And they've been turning over coaches. They've been turning over quarterbacks. Like all of that shit has been a turnstile. But ever since they drafted him, he has been a monster there. And he's shown up to work and he's been there most of the games he's played. And he's balling out and giving your fans something to go watch. And that's where I'm sitting there like, unless you're going to sit here and like, I would be more okay with it if they just said, hey, we're just going to trade you, and they just take the best offer they could possibly get. Don't play the will you, won't you, trade him or sign him type of thing like you've done with other running backs. Just sit here and say either you're going to sign him right now or you're just going to open it up to trade and just take the best offer you could possibly get, because I just want to see a guy like that go to a real contender like CMC kind of did and go play for the best team he possibly can and go ball out there and not waste all of his talents in a spot where they're not going to do winning to take advantage of it. That's where the downside comes for me, when you waste all of your prime on a team that's not going to actually go for it and like put their great players in a position to go play winning football in a good situation. That's where this downside of it comes for me. And was there any other story I wanted to talk about here? So I asked you a quick question about it. You say you didn't know. So Mike Vrabel, Patriots head coach, early on this week, it was reported, it was like pictures that came out on TMZ. I think it was not New York Times. I think it was New York Times or Page 6 News, something like that. Pictures came out with him and a very popular football insider, Diana Rossini. They were on a rooftop, kind of interlocking fingers, and there was a picture of them by the pool. And they were at a romantic, it's like some of those hotels where it's only for couples type of thing. And it was a big story that came out because obviously a head coach for an NFL football team, and then like probably the most famous women type of insider reporter kind of coming, like being to get by themselves together and potentially being a romantic relationship type of thing. Again, nothing can be proven. They both came out with statements pretty much saying that there were other people there and all of that. But again, they're saying it was during the meetings that they were having, but there was like that hotel was like 30 minutes away from where those meetings were happening. So this is I think it's probably funnier for me because I'm more into all the NFL news than you are. This is what I'll do. I want to show you the photo real quick, and I want you to tell me if their story about just being friends makes sense.
Ain't Vrabel married?
Oh no, they've both been married. Vrabel's been married since '99, and all of his kids are grown, so there's no really kids. And then she has been married since 2020, and she has 2 children like under the age of 5 or something like that with a guy. And this same guy she talks about all the time when she's on television talking like that. She's kind of like not made fun of him, but it's like one of those self-deprecating, but they're willing to make fun of their spouses as well. And with her being the only one that has like a forward-facing job, apparently the guy that she's married to is like a top executive for like Shake Shack or something like that. So the dude makes money. But she makes fun of him all the time. So now this has kind of opened her up. And there's been other stories apparently about her messing around with Sean McVay years ago before he got married. And let's see. So it kind of brings up a lot of different stories about people thinking that she kind of used the gift she was given to get up in her career.
I don't even know who the fuck this is, dude.
Do those look like 2 people that are just friends? Based on those 3 photos.
Maybe.
You think so? If Malia saw you interlocking fingers with a girl she doesn't know, would she have? No, she's not the wrong person to ask about that. Would a normal girl have an issue? Maybe.
I don't know.
By the pool?
That's just chilling, relaxing.
Okay. Again, this is all at a 2-person, like a romantic hotel. And that rooftop up there is every hotel has their own private rooftop. And they were seen on that rooftop together by themselves. And apparently both of them said that they had other people there. Well, her statement said there was other people.
Look,
Vrabel said there's nothing to this, and if you think there's anything more to it, it's laughable.
From these photos, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
The interlocking fingers is weird.
Yeah, but
that don't look like 2 friends just catching up to me.
I don't have any female friends, dude. I don't know.
I wouldn't either, but I think I heard somebody say the level of whether this is okay. Would those things be okay with your cousin?
Yes.
I don't know. The interlocking finger thing is weird. That's the one thing where I'm like, that is not to mention Vrabel is not one of those people that's known to be very like a friendly person.
I think, I'm not going to lie to you, it's the person, the place they're at. The Vrabel is what's fucking me over. Bro, you are fucked. Say goodbye to your marriage. Because that is incriminating as fuck. Because that's how I know Vrabel is. He's not a friendly motherfucker.
No.
So this is where it loses me.
He's not one of those dudes to be going outside of his world unless he like actually like not messes with you, but like really like wants to do so. Yeah.
The way I know Vrabel is football.
Yeah.
I like football.
Football guy through and through.
So shaky.
Shaky. Again, here's my thing. With the job that he has, I don't think his owner is going to be able to look at him and say, "Oh, you did a bad thing," because his owner was caught going to a massage parlor that was trafficking women, and that was a whole thing in himself. So I don't think the owner is going to look at him and say, "You did a bad thing. That what is this?" Like, and again, at the end of the day, morally in the place that they're at, cheating on your wife, your spouse, is not necessarily the craziest of things. It is it's a normal thing in life, and especially in their line of work. So I don't think for him it really matters all that much. Whether he cheated on his wife or not, that's the whole thing. But for her, for a person that's supposed to be an insider, that's supposed to be impartial, and for people to look at you and be able to trust the information you're giving out, like, because she went off the grid, didn't post at all. Yesterday, she put a innocuous post about something totally different, just threw it out there. Do you know one of all the first things that were coming out about her was everybody clowning her? So now I think with what she has done in her own field is now going to be questioned. She's going to be clowned for the rest of time, and nobody's going to take her seriously. That's where I think the issue is, because again, cheating on it happens, and I'm not going to sit here and like poo-poo and say you're such a terrible person and all of that, because it happens throughout life. It is what it is. But when it comes to you being taken seriously as a professional, once this door has been opened by saying maybe you're sleeping your way into getting the information you're getting, you're not helping that type of talk when you get caught doing something like this potentially. So it was a very funny thing, and it kind of took over the internet for a few days there. But I don't know. I think the pictures looks very incriminating, especially with Vrabel. He's just not known to be one of those lovey-dovey guys unless he wants to be lovey-dovey. Yeah. Like even guys like he does like the Bustin' with the Boys. He's like very friendly with them, but like that is like the most of it. And I'm just like, there's some things I'm just like, I don't see him being a guy that interlock fingers with people. That's just not what he. That's not what he kind of makes himself out to be as a human. So that was it on that. And Drew Sample's leaving the Bengals too. Cam Sample, sorry.
Yeah,
he's going to the Niners. Okay, well that sucks. Okay, any other NFL stories I want to talk about here? I don't think so. Okay, that's about it on the stories I wanted to talk about. Let's go ahead. Oh, we haven't talked about our experience with going to the game. So we went to the UFL football game here in Columbus, the Aviators versus the DC Defenders. I went into it very skeptical about the football on the field. You were a lot more positive going into it than I was about the whole experience. But what I can say coming out of it was the football on the field was not great. But it was when it comes to like X's and O's on the field was not great football. But it was entertaining football. The vibe in there was great.
Okay. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
The DC Defenders played great football. That's what the whole problem was. Is the DC Defenders have fucking NFL coordinators. No, their coordinator was a coordinator for the Chiefs. He was head coach for the Chiefs for 3 years. Then he coordinated with the Steelers.
Who was that?
Bro, this is how I know you don't do fucking research. Every other team in the UFL has coordinators who were coordinators in the NFL. We have Ted Ginn Jr.
Shannon Harris?
Go ahead.
Intern. Impact. He was No, he wasn't a head coach in the NFL. Shannon Harris?
Wrong one. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's the head coach of DC Defenders right now.
But again, the problem is
I agree with you on the fact that the DC Defenders are a much better football team.
We played yesterday. I want you to know we got packed. Motherfucker was their head coach, served as an assistant coach with the Baltimore Ravens. You want to guess win? This motherfucker Super Bowl ring on his hand. There's a reason they're 2-0 right now. Dude, he coached as a graduate assistant at UCLA, then the University
Rick Neuheisel
of Colorado, then the University of Washington.
I know of him. Yes, I know who he is.
So there's a gap, right?
Uh-huh.
With the teams in the UFL. Okay, the Birmingham Stallions. They've existed for forever. They existed before these things merged.
Yeah.
They've existed.
Mm-hmm.
Their coaching staff is the same thing. I know that guy. It's almost like he was an NFL quarterback. I believe he can call a play.
Yeah.
He was an Alabama quarterback, bro.
He won 1 or 2 national championships with them.
And a Heisman Trophy finalist. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not exactly good for us. Like, we have a team, right? They're very smart. They're very smart with how they schedule our coaching. A lot of the coaches they have, bro, you see, you were talking shit about the coach of the DC Defenders. He's won 2 championships with the DC Defenders. I think he knows what the fuck he's doing at this point.
I'm just talking about the actual players and what when I'm comparing the football there and when I'm used to it playing a high level college football, there is a difference there. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I understand that, but the difference does start at having good coaches.
No, for sure. But at the end of the day, there's just some talent they're not going to be able to get at that level that other.
Did you see the motherfucker they had throwing for us? This nigga's ass.
Yeah, no doubt.
I watch it. I can't remember his name. What's his name?
The quarterback for
the other one, the one that has the younger brother who plays for OSU.
Yeah, Julian Sands' older brother. It's something saying, obviously.
Ass.
Yeah, he's not good.
Again, I'm just going to go to the next head coach of the Houston Gamblers. Head coach of the University of Houston.
What's his name?
Kevin Sullivan.
I think that name sounds familiar.
Head coach of Texas A&M.
Kevin Sumlin?
Hmm?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he used to be. Yeah, I remember.
And Arizona, we have Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah.
Again, man, it works, but it doesn't work because Ted Ginn Jr. can't call fucking plays.
Or the OC that he has calling plays can't call plays.
No. I know this motherfucker too. This is just head coaches.
Okay, let me just get to the football on the field. So let me get to the stadium. We show up to the stadium, relatively well packed. It was the first home game for the Aviators here in Columbus. Vibes were high. There was a lot of tailgating. When we showed up, the game started at 8 o'clock. We showed up at like 6:30. Thinking, we're going to get in here because Jace wanted the free T-shirt they were going to give to the first 5,000 fans that got into the stadium. We were one of the first 5,000, but people were going crazy. Honestly, they were tailgating as if it was an Ohio State game because at the end of the day, what I said before we even walked into this place, I'm like, hey, Jace, this is the city of Columbus in the state of Ohio that loves football in all of its forms, high school football, college football. And then in the NFL, even if the NFL teams don't like the fans by putting out good football teams out there, the people of Ohio love their football. And for the idea to have some sort of team playing in the spring that especially the city of Columbus can get behind, because let's be honest, football is the main thing that drives this state. I knew that there were going to be people there. I even underestimated how many people were there because for the most part, filled up the stadium. It was like, how many people can fit in that stadium? Old Crew.
Historic Crew Stadium.
Yeah. About 20,000 people can fit in that stadium. I would say it was around 70 to 80% full because the totally high parts weren't. So I would say
one part was, but they were using the other side for cameras.
Okay, so that's where I'm sitting there like, okay, you mostly filled the stadium. Everybody showed up. It was a very good vibe. People really buy in. And when we showed up there, it was a fun time. They had fireworks going off. They had a halftime show with an artist that I vaguely heard of. Jace had never heard of. Even though some of the songs, it was a country music artist. I'm not a big country music fan, but I know enough where I'm like, I can get around a little bit. Some of those songs were
more
familiar.
of the part of singing. He's not exactly country. He's kind of just singing.
It's like pop country type of thing.
That's a good word for it.
But it was a fun time all around. We were there till like mostly through the fourth quarter. I think it was a very fun time. The football on the field was better than I thought it was going to be, at least when it comes to being entertaining. There were some big plays. The starkness and what the two teams were definitely didn't help in that fact. But it wasn't like we were watching a bunch of NFL players on a football field, but I think they were all relatively well matched for the most part when it comes to player versus player. There were some big hits. And at the end of the day, football is football. You can have fun watching it.
It's our offensive coordinator who was head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs at one point, offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns.
Who was this?
Todd Haley.
Oh, he knows what he's doing calling plays.
Oh, that means that the offense really is just that bad.
Or they just can't trust the quarterback to do the things they need to do because all they did was call screens not slant routes, freaking drags. All they did all game. They did not try to throw the football down the field at all in that game.
They did. I'm pretty sure it got picked off by a lineman.
No, even that was just going like maybe 10, 15 yards down the field. Like they were not trying to open the field up at all.
And then the DC captain, Munderland.
Never heard of that.
10-year NFL career as a cornerback with Carolina, Minnesota, and the Bills.
Okay, can't argue with that one.
And Teddy Ginn Jr.
Look, I can get behind the idea that maybe there needs to be some. I'm not saying that this football shouldn't exist. I've always been a proponent of if this football it has its niche, it's playing in the spring where college football and the NFL don't reside.
Damn.
They know who they are and they're trying to stick to that. They're not trying to go into crazy big stadiums. They're doing everything they need to do the right way, and they're kind of going into, especially with expansion, they're going into cities that they know that there is a little bit of a hankering for football.
Ted Ginn Jr. had 1,900 yards.
Yeah, he was I told you he was a real NFL player.
5 receptions, 1,900 yards.
Yeah.
15 TDs.
He was a dude. I told you that.
Who the fuck was coming out in 2006 for him to be the 9th overall pick?
He was a dude. And the only thing that made him a 9th overall pick and not higher was that he got hurt. He got hurt in the national championship game that Ohio State had played against Florida. Yeah, that was against Florida. He got literally hurt in the first play because he had ran a touchdown back all the way, like literally the opening kickoff, he ran back for a touchdown, got hurt celebrating. And then that's why he was picked 9th because that's why he was just hurt.
Oh, he is born and lived in Ohio.
Yeah.
Up until he graduated.
His dad, Ted Ginn Sr., coaches one of like the more popular schools in Cleveland, Glenville, in Cleveland.
He did. Ted Ginn Jr. did.
No. His dad still coaches there.
Oh, that's what he was doing.
His dad he wasn't coaching at Glenville.
After his NFL stint, he played a pivotal role in coaching and community leadership at Glenville High School. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but his dad's been coaching there for like 20 years. Like the head coach has been there for like 20 years.
Okay, but
again, the school Arvell Reese came from.
Our head coach has zero fucking coaching experience. This is my whole problem.
Oh yeah, especially in high levels. Yeah, for sure, he doesn't have any. No, I totally agree with that fact. But I was just one telling you that.
Football, but I can again, the DC Defenders are another one that have existed for forever.
Mm-hmm.
They've won the championship 3 fucking times.
Mm-hmm.
They know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know. It was enjoyable football. It was enjoyable. There's enjoyment to it.
I think the buy-in from the other fans around us helped in that fact because everything that happened, they were all very locked in. They were yelling at the refs. They didn't agree with the calls. There were so many side swipes about the Bengals and the Browns.
Never mind. Ted Ginn Jr. was supposed to be the 9th overall pick. My fault.
Let me guess that draft. What was the guys before him?
Let's start. Calvin Johnson was at 2. It doesn't fucking matter.
No, for sure, yeah.
Motherfucker, PFF won't work if I have an ad blocker on. Literally, there's 2 Hall of Famers on this list already. 2 and 3. Now, number 1 was Jamarcus Russell. Now, looking at Jamarcus Russell, he was 6'5".
At the time, the pick made sense.
There was nothing to say he was bad. But you have Calvin Johnson, Joe Thomas. Don't know. LaRon Landry, and Adrian Peterson. Then Jamal Anderson, then Ted Ginn Jr.
Okay, you could have picked a tad bit higher, but not much higher.
Like 8.
2 slots.
Over Adrian Peterson?
Not over Adrian, but I'm saying everybody gets pulled up a little bit, and he would get... If they did a redraft...
Yeah, 4 through 6 can kind of leave. And then we'll just, like... And whoever the fuck Jamal Anderson in. Because Patrick Willis was at 11. And Darrelle Revis was at 14. Marshawn Lynch was also at 12. This was a stacked draft. I'm starting to realize. No, it wasn't. Never mind.
All right, so you're not trying to battle the if the football was good or not. So I think overall the vibe, you liked it. It was good.
No, the football was good. Okay. Let me rephrase this. There was players on the field that I looked at. I'm like, you'll be on somebody's practice squad here soon. Or you could see their deficiency on the field. The running back for the Aviators was very fucking good. He is 5'8".
Yeah.
That was his whole problem. Everything else, he had some good breakaway speed when he got around the edge and he could go.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't elite speed for his size.
Yes, but here's the thing you also have to take into effect is that he's playing against a bunch of potentially non-NFL players, so maybe the speed doesn't look as crazy on an NFL field with NFL dudes.
Which was the whole problem, which is why he's in the UFL.
Right.
You're 5'8", you have good speed, but everyone around you has good speed. Everyone around you that's a skill position is probably hitting at like a 4'8".
I think the skill position is kind of the part where I think they can get closer to what high level college football or NFL can be.
When he got
it's
out,
the line of scrimmages
no
where
one
it's
else
issue.
besides a defensive back or a safety was the person.
Yeah,
talking
no, for
about.
sure.
But it was the O lines and D lines that were like, this is horrible.
No, for sure.
But
all in all, it was a good time, and we will go back again at some point.
I think it was decent football. There was football being played. There were schemes being played. The Bengals jokes were hilarious.
And the Browns jokes were all funny.
Motherfucker went, Zach Taylor could call better plays. I don't know about that, gang. I don't know about that. That shit was funny, though.
There was somebody that said they pay a lot less money for the defense to look just like the Bengals.
Dude, that shit was hilarious.
Side swipes of the Bengals were insane that night. But I think all in all, it was a very fun time. We'll go again. And I think having football like that in the spring is not a bad thing. In a place like this where there is some real buy-in for fans to go watch it, even if I think some of them are actually crazy people. And I'm one of those people that I think I am crazy about certain teams, but I think I'm not necessarily like,
Ted Ginn Jr. was hurt.
What? The end of his career?
He was hurt.
Yeah. But again, he still had a 13-year NFL career that was still very good. When going in college, yeah, it was an ACL that he messed up in that last game.
I can tell. No, I can tell.
I told you he was a real guy at Ohio State, man.
It did not transfer.
What?
It did not transfer.
To his NFL career?
It did not transfer.
You literally just said he had a 1,300-yard year in the NFL. Yes, it did.
No. He had a 1,900-yard career year.
He had a what?
1,900-yard year in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted in 2007.
Uh-huh.
His best year was 787.
Ted Ginn Jr. NFL stats. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer or anything.
He was all right.
He played 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
He had a total of 400 receptions in his career, over 5,000 yards,
5,742,
33 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good NFL career. He got paid multiple times over. He played for some good teams. He was with Carolina.
He had less than Dwayne Bowie. You know who that is?
No.
Yeah, he had about 2,000 less than him. About 150 less receptions and 11 less touchdowns. Random.
A 13-year NFL career is nothing to sneeze at, my guy.
This guy's a Pro Bowl.
Ted Ginn Jr. made a Pro Bowl.
This guy has several 1,000-yard seasons. No, he didn't. No, Ted Ginn Jr. did not make a Pro Bowl. Fuck out of here with that shit. That shit comes up right on the front page of Pro Football Reference. No, the fuck he did not.
Did he not? I thought he did.
Now his college stats. Video game. His college stats, fucking video game. No, you.
Award 2007 All Rookie Team. Dang. Okay. No Pro Bowls. Got it.
Now again, his college stats, video game, bro.
No, he was a dude.
Not even straight up receiving. He just has yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Just yards from scrimmage.
Him and Troy Smith tore it up for a few years, for sure.
Using him in different ways. He had 100 rushing yards one year, which is not crazy, but as a receiver, it's kind of crazy. And then y'all were having this motherfucker on kick returns. 266, 250, 384, 900 total yards.
He was a dog.
It is interesting.
Okay,
or that
fine.
ACL hurt him more than people assume.
It didn't help, but a 13-year career in the NFL is nothing. Is not bad at all, dude. NFL will trade you out like they'll get rid of you so quick, dude. Okay, all right, I'm done.
Ron Landry.
I'm done fighting this.
My bad.
I'm not gonna.
Ron Landry. I can't remember this nigga anymore.
Why I gotta do this? Why can't I have a little bit of hype for one player who played at Ohio State that had a good NFL career? 13 years, bro. 13 years. Average NFL career is 4 years. He more than doubled that. Sorry, he more than tripled that. I think he did a good job. I think I shall be made fun of for thinking that. Okay. All right, you got anything else that's bad to say? Or
You're so fucking lucky this wasn't the right Steve Smith, or I would have tore you a fucking new one.
All right, you done talking about the UFL now?
Hold on.
This guy.
Wait.
Come on, man. I want to keep going.
Fuck you. Give me a second. You're lucky every other receiver in this draft. Fucking ass.
Do 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 do. Okay. All right.
He wasn't good as this guy. Hold on. He wasn't good as this guy right here. I got it.
What guy?
This guy right here.
Of course not. Calvin Johnson's a Hall of Famer. What argument do you think I was about to have?
Either.
Hall of Famer. What do you want me to say about that?
He wasn't. Hold on. We're going to talk about long careers.
He had a long career. JaMarcus Russell, the number 1 overall pick in that year.
You have a long career, this man right here?
Obviously not.
Shut up. He tore his ACL not once but twice.
Those are all Hall of Famers. All-time people that have ever played the game.
Actually, Adrian Peterson is not a Hall of Famer.
He will be a Hall of Famer.
Well, my apologies. I'm not saying that he's not a Hall of Famer.
You're saying he's not one yet?
I'm saying he's not eligible for the Hall of Fame yet.
Okay, fine.
Not until this coming year he's eligible.
He will be a Hall of Famer.
Because he got out in 2021. Has to be 5 years.
Yes.
So he's eligible in 2027.
So he will be a Hall of Famer.
I needed to articulate.
It's not a function of if, it's when.
Yes, before whatever fans we do have tear me a fucking new one of what the fuck did he just say? I say a lot of outlandish shit.
I figured you meant that because, there's no way you truly meant that he's not worthy of being a Hall of Famer. He's only one of the best running backs of all time in the NFL. We're not doing this.
Tear an ACL and then go for 2,000.
Yeah, no doubt. So...
And he came back in a fraction of the time he was supposed to.
Other than beating his kid with a belt, he didn't. He was fine.
That kid probably deserved it. You got beat with a belt. I got beat with a belt. We turned out all right.
The only downside is our mom wasn't famous when she did it.
Real quick. Hey, the kid with a belt, to an extent, is okay.
I'm not gonna go there. You can get the same message across without a belt. You can.
No, our sister deserved that belt. Every time she got it.
Like, I think a spatula is not as bad as a belt. A belt's too close to what we were whipped with when black people were slaves and stuff. Like, that's where for me, like, I would take a ladle over a belt any day.
Fuck you. That bitch would not. We scrap it.
Well, most of them are plastic nowadays, so the plastic ain't that bad at all.
Nah, see, this belt is leather. Fuck around, I get a studded one.
I just think that going with a leather belt is just a little bit too, close to the source material, if you know what I mean.
If
you know what I mean. Or like when they
an age, right? If they're younger than 10, you can yell at them. They gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Just fuck around. You 13.
But at that point, if you're dealing with like your son, you can fight them in the yard, and that'd be better than getting like beating with a belt.
What? Because now I'm just whooping your ass.
I think at least give him a chance to defend himself. You're just putting him over your knee and whipping him.
You don't want no chance to defend yourself from me, because now if you got to defend yourself, now you a man, huh? Because now I'm swinging on you.
Obviously, they won't be able to do anything. But
what? I could just hit you with a belt. We got this over with.
I just think whipping the belt is just primitive. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do it.
I hope to God you never have some spoiled ass kid. I don't give our nephew leeway, and I love him.
I don't give our nephew leeway either.
Yeah, but that little motherfucker at times deserves a fucking belt.
I have never had to hit him ever. All I do is get loud because, again, I set the tone early for him as a child, where if I get loud, it's time to shut up and listen.
That's that kid. That's because our sister's a fucking pansy ass, and I don't really think can get loud with her son because she loves him just a little too much.
No, she's always loud. That's the problem. She's loud everywhere. So her getting loud doesn't mean nothing,
right? Okay, there's levels to it. Okay, but that's him. I truly think he's just a nice kid.
Uh-huh. That's a little stupid because he's a boy.
I don't think there was any other way to deal with a kid like our sister besides fucking beating her. There was no other way to deal with her.
But I'm saying we deal with Kalan without having to do so, because guess what?
Though.
He understands what time it is.
Him. He's a.
But here's the thing: he's only like that with his mother.
But again, that's because his mother gives him that leeway.
Yeah, but everybody else doesn't give him that leeway. He knows what the rules are, and he sticks to it. And again, that's if you can do that to a child from a young age, you can handle that.
Just straight don't care.
Yes, obviously there are some spawn, our sister, that make it happen that way. Mm-hmm. But again, I just feel like those are few and far between. I don't think the belt is needed. Especially, or the stories about from our parents, like their parents made them go pick a switch. What kind of fucking psychological bullshit is that?
That's crazy.
Go pick a switch from outside.
Okay.
That's some bullshit.
Now I had a friend whose mom would have him do that, right? But she would never hit him with the switch. It would just sit there.
That's worse. That's some psychological bullshit. That's crazy. That's craziness.
You see me with my dogs, gang.
That's a little different. It's hard to have a heart-to-heart with your dog and make it understand you.
What? Nah, tomatoes.
No, I don't think so. I could talk things out with Kalan in a way that you never will be able to talk to your dog that way.
Listen to me. I don't negotiate with fucking children. This is where you lose.
I don't either. I will let a child.
To this day, nigga don't like Fruity Pebbles. To this day, that motherfucker don't like Fruity Pebbles.
And if you bring up that story to him, he will talk about it, and it will still put him back into that same trauma.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I might be that boy's favorite person.
But here's the thing: that moment that you had a hard out, you didn't even do anything bad to him. You had a hard. This is what's going to happen, or you're going to go sit down.
Again,
and that's all that was necessary.
A 5-year-old kid.
The same 5-year-old kid that our sister thinks is unmanageable.
Well, he's 6 now, but no, he's perfectly manageable.
Exactly.
But again, I got to raise my boys. That kid now is 15.
Then that's the age you can go just beat him up.
Now I'm just beating a kid.
Y'all. If at 15, that is somebody that's able to fight for themselves.
At 15,
if he did something that bad,
buck up to me. I'm going to jail. You're gonna need a breathing tube. So I'm gonna give you the option. I get this belt, or I'm gonna put these paws on you. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. At 15, Joe, I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
Let me have a son me size. You bucked up at me? I'm gonna put this grown man strength on you. And I realize this at 15, Joe. Because if I'm 15, you were 25? No, that's 10 years. You were 24, 23, right?
22.
You were then 23.
There's 7 years between us, dude.
If I'm 15, you're 23. If I'm 15, you're 23. Your birthday's before mine. If I'm 15, you can simultaneously...
How old are you right now?
My nigga, how old are you about to turn?
30.
Okay, if I'm 15...
At the end of this year, you're going to be 24.
Again,
23. Sorry, I'm 23.
If I'm 15, in a year, if I turn 15, you will be both 23 and 22, my nigga. What I'm saying is still correct.
We are less than 8 years apart.
Is your birthday in a year, in a calendar fucking year, does it appear before mine?
Yeah.
All right, so I was 15 in July.
Oh, now you're putting a timestamp on it, bro?
That's what you're fucking asking for. That's the problem. What I'm saying is right.
You're not right.
If I'm 15, how old were you that year, Joe?
Any time before June, which is most of the way through, halfway through the
August,
year,
July, August.
we're
September,
6.5 months
October,
apart.
November, December. Your birthday's the 13th.
We're 7 years, 6 months apart.
Which means
We're not 8 years apart,
it
bro.
is literally... There's 6 months you're 22 during the year, and there were 6 months you were 23.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what that means? That means I can say you were 22 or 23. Both fucking apply. Both apply.
But I'm saying you're making it you're making it to where it's a rule that I'm always 8 years older than you. That's not the case.
At the time you were in this story.
No, you're not. No, it's not true. You don't know that.
We had fought about something, and I don't know if we were like a shoving match or whatever, but there was a moment where I was like, damn, this nigga's strong. You had this thing that I didn't have. It's that grown man strength. You know what I'm talking about. Braylon's probably about my size.
Yeah.
Weir's probably like 60 pounds between us at this point.
Yeah.
He's probably like 220.
There is a functional strength of having to go out and work for something on a daily basis that you just don't have as a child.
Yeah.
Unless you are a supreme athlete to a certain extent where you're like putting your body through the worst of things.
I got asthma. I know he do too. That shit's genetic. So let my own son buck up at me. Here, son, I'm going to give you a gun. Give you a fighting chance. Don't let me get close. Because if I do, I'm fucking up your femur. Like, that's just worse. You know how demoralizing at 17 it would be? Not even like scarring. Demoralizing. 17.
Did your ass beat by your dad? Yeah.
With a belt.
That's the thing. Belt's not necessary. At that age, it's not necessary. It's not even necessary then.
It's demoralizing.
You're trying to demoralize your 17-year-old? Come on, bro. That's crazy. But you can get the you.
You was skipping class, huh? Go ahead and go sit over there. You ain't about to skip.
Trying to break their will like a horse. What the fuck are we talking about?
Oh, stop playing with me. I'll let you touch that belt as soon as I get it back. You straight metal buckle. Straight metal buckle.
See, that's that we can't
Remember
do that.
Boondocks?
I'm not as big of a Boondocks fan as you are.
Bro, you missing out. Bro, I had a thing of belts. You bro, hit him with this.
Look, man, I
was hit by a belt probably twice. I didn't have to get hit by more than twice.
I think I was a spoon. I got hit with a ladle one time. That's pretty much it.
Belt.
At least the what I can remember.
I got hit twice. Both times for stealing.
I think Mom says I got one like very early on, but I was a very young kid. But other than that, I really
both
didn't get hit.
times for stealing. Once saw Huber when I stole the wind-up toys from Michael's and left them on the table like a dumbass. I can't remember the other time, but I got hit twice with a belt.
I only did the stealing thing once, and that was at Meijer. They had the little candy thing where you can just put the spoon. I had candy in my pocket. I lose candy in my pocket.
That was the other one. I stole the Rolos.
There you go.
See, you can't put it in your pocket. You eat the candy right there.
No, I put it in my pocket. Got caught. I got caught. She didn't beat me, though. She made me take it back and maybe had to tell them that I stole it.
I got whooped for stealing Rolos.
For different strokes for different folks. I didn't need to get beat. You and my sister did.
I only took twice.
Yes, you took a lot less than our sister did, for sure. She took all the beatings for everybody. We weren't
even in the ghetto no more.
She took all the oxygen out of the room for that one. She took all the punishments, no questions asked. And again, that's translated down to her child where he doesn't listen to her for anything. Mm-hmm. She could do whatever she wants to him, and he'll look at her. He called her a murderer today. He called her a murderer, man. And he just thinks he thinks he's funny, and then also he doesn't listen to her at all. So that's her own personal hell for what she did to us as children.
Oh God, deserved, but again.
So no children for Jace. He's gonna beat him with a belt.
Let you fuck around and me have to beat you with a belt. I come to your apartment, come beat you with a belt. Knock on the door.
Of all the things we could ever go on the tangent for, and it's for Adrian Peterson beating his kid, and we're going down this road. What do you mean? How is it crazy we disagree on this?
I think we'd have different parenting styles. You want to negotiate with this child? No.
No. That's the thing. Negotiating is a very different thing because that says that they have an actual right. What I will do is I am more okay with waiting you out. Because the whining thing, all that stuff is not going to work on me. Once I've come to a decision, I'm not breaking off of that. It is what it is. There is no outwaiting me. I'm just going to wait you out. All the other crying and all that, it goes one ear and out the other.
Look, I have a dog. When it was cold outside, he didn't want to come inside. You watched me wait him out one night.
Yeah. But I think that's enough. Is showing you have the will to do to stick with what you're doing, no matter what they do. That breaks their will more than anything.
Nah, I stopped waiting him out one night. I locked all the cages. Shut every door. Gave me a minute, nigga. Run from me. You wanted to run me outside, run me here. Hey, bro. He comes in on first whistle, don't he?
He does.
Right inside.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. You skipping class? Oh, you about to learn something from me. Hey, real quick, it'll never take more than twice.
Sometimes it will. That is what it is. But yeah, that's why I think there has to be a different style.
If I get even slightly annoyed, she ain't gonna fight with me. So if I have a kid just like her, all I gotta do is, hey, hold on out.
That's not gonna happen. It's gonna be like you.
Oh God.
You're the dominating personality. That's kind of is what it is.
And that's yeah. I said I didn't want a little brother. Fonzo punched me in the chest. What you mean? And I still don't like that little nigga.
Now it's because he's too much like you.
Oh, God.
That's where the problem is.
Call him twice a day. Curse him out.
Even though if you took that same shit, you would act the exact same way. Okay. If anything, you'd act worse. When you cursed him out yesterday, he hung up on you. You wouldn't. If it was going the other way and you were getting cussed out on, you would not only hang up. You would show up where they're at and try to fight them and try to fight.
Yeah, okay. But again, that's a difference. Mom raised me great.
No,
you want to talk shit? We're gonna fight about it. See, that little bitch, he's gonna hang up on me. Throw them one, bro.
He's not gonna throw that. He's not gonna do that. All right, let's get to the other things we want to talk about. We're done going down this tangent. So, Chris Sims, wide receiver rankings. He does it every year, every time, especially when it includes Ohio. You know what he's going to fucking do next year? I know he's going to do this next year because obviously Jeremiah is going to be the number one receiver, if not the number one player coming out of college football next year in the next draft. He's going to find a way to call him the number one receiver, but say some bullshit as to why another guy is actually close to him when there literally is nobody else. Don't do this. Don't try to do the Nick Marsh thing, please. I love Nick Marsh. He's awesome, but he's not Jeremiah.
By all comparison, that'd be his closest comp.
Yes, but there's still a gap. There's still a wide gap between the two.
Hold on. Is there a gap, or is this nigga at Michigan State? Let's get this correct.
He's at Indiana now.
You
so
credit my boy a lot.
He's at Indiana now. So if he doesn't do it at Indiana,
his quarterback was
okay. He'll be at Indiana now with good coaching and all of that. And if he still isn't Jeremiah Smith, will you be able to eat that?
That's the thing. I'm not saying he's Jeremiah Smith.
I know, but I'm saying you understand that. I think Chris Sims will find a reason to say Jeremiah Smith isn't who he's been literally since he stepped onto a college football field.
I agree with you. It's the thing. I can see how good Nick Marsh is because he did a lot with a little. Now he's going to a place that has that has everything he needs.
Right.
So again, I'm not saying he's gonna put up 1,500 yards. I'm saying he could put up like 12.
Yeah.
Because I've seen he put up 11 his first year at Michigan State.
Yeah.
So with good coaching, I don't know, he's good.
Okay.
But again, I'm not saying they're far. I'm saying they're comparable.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole with you. I really don't.
Am I wrong?
Huh? What do you mean? I think when it comes to there are physical gifts that Nick Marsh has that are in the same store, not in the same section. If that makes sense to you.
Yes, it does.
They're in the same store. Mm-hmm. They're not in the same section. I think Jeremiah Smith is a literal once in a like close to like generation's probably literally far because generation's a little bit heavy of a word. But he's like a once in a 10-year talent. Like like that's what type of talent he is.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? We haven't seen a guy like this since Julio. Like that literally steps onto a college football field and dominates from day one. And let's be honest, Jeremiah Smith has dominated in a way at Ohio State now in a way that Julio didn't at Alabama. But again, at Alabama, they didn't really throw the football like that. But again, he turned them into that because of how good he was. But Jeremiah Smith is one of those type of talents you do not see like that. That's how rare it is what he can do.
Okay.
I didn't mean to want to go on this rabbit hole. I was just trying to make a statement about how Chris Sims just has a thing against Ohio State receivers.
Okay.
What do you mean? Okay. All right. Because I'm feeling I'm going to start going and doing what I'm actually trying to do, and then you're going to come up with something here in the next 5 minutes with some type of thing to try to argue this. So should I just wait for you to come up with what you're going to come up with, or can I just go with what I have without you butting back in to have this argument?
Okay. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm good to go? Okay. I was making that thing about Chris Sims because he is literally over the last, especially since Ohio State has made this jump of being a school with Brian Hartline to have all these wide receivers coming out and playing very well, not only playing well in college, but coming out in the NFL and playing great there. Literally the year that both Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson were being drafted and they were both first-round picks, he had them both outside of his top 5 receivers coming out of college football. So ever since then, he has always been very low on Ohio State wide receivers by comparison to other receivers coming out in college football, not only maybe because of his actual expertise as what he likes as from receivers, but I just think from Ohio State, if you're coming out of Ohio State and you're a receiver, he has you on a lower totem pole for some. There has to be a bigger sense of proof that you have to have in order to pass his test for whatever reason. So, most recently, he came out with a couple wide receiver rankings a couple weeks ago that took me down this rabbit hole. So for him, he had his top 5 receivers in this upcoming draft. His number 1 was Denzel Boston, a wide receiver out of Washington. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Chris Brazzell was his number 3, who was a wide receiver out of Tennessee. Carnell Tate, the Ohio State receiver, he has at number 4. And then he has Zachariah Branch as the number 5 receiver. And when it comes to general consensus, people will look at Carnell Tate as a potential top 10 type of pick receiver because he has the size. He's not necessarily the fast receiver, but he is shown to have enough production at the receiver position, be able to get down the field, make big plays, and be able to, doesn't have the crazy explosive speed, the 4.4 type of thing, but he has enough to be able to be one of the top receivers in this upcoming draft and a top receiver in the NFL. Because what I want to say before I get into my thoughts on these receivers, Jace, can you name me the top 5 receivers in the NFL right now? This past season, the top 5 receivers production-wise in the NFL.
Puka Nacua.
Okay. JSN, right? Jamar Chase is up there, right?
Not
Obviously.
This past year, no.
But I'm saying talent-wise, like, I think the only reason he had a down year is because Joe Burrow wasn't playing most of the year.
Yes.
Let's see who are the other ones that we would talk about. Obviously, Jay Jettas.
Yeah.
Jay Jettas, and then we're going to talk about who's another one that we can.
St. Brown.
St. Brown. Okay, fine. You can throw him up there too. Of those guys, how many of those guys run a 4.4? So I think it's been proven in the NFL that you do not need to have the blazing fast speed in order to be an effective NFL receiver. What you need to have is you need to be able to run routes. You need to be able to have positioning and be able to use leverage to make a defensive player do what you want them to do. Okay. And that at the top of your routes, you need to be able to be a hand fighter and be able to battle for the football and come down with it.
Okay, you're losing me again.
What?
You're losing me.
I'm saying crazy, like Puka ran a 4.6 coming out of college.
Puka's in a system where it's impossible to fail with one of the probably better quarterbacks of all time.
Okay. JSN.
Physical freak. He's the one I'm okay with. What were the other ones?
Jay Jettas.
That's an elite player.
But he isn't like a crazy fast player. Like he's more of a run a great route, have you looking stupid, be wide open, or he can jump really high. Like he has really good, like his elite trait is probably like his not speed, but it's short area quickness and stuff like that. I'm just trying to make the case that having long speed is not necessarily the way to make you a top receiver in the NFL. True or false?
False.
What do you mean false?
That's false.
What? Hold on. What do you, how, but you said Puka Nacua is in a system where he can't fail? I think the only reason it works because of what he does well. He runs very well after the catch. He runs very good routes. He battles for the football in the air. He's not like all of those things can take over a fact that you're not going to be able to blaze down the field and beat somebody off the line all the time. I'm saying there's other things you can do as a wide receiver to make up for the fact if you don't have elite speed.
Which I can agree.
Uh-huh.
But what is elite speed?
Elite speed is running a low to mid 4.4s.
Okay. So as you were saying this, and as I was looking at it, George Pickens was one of the best receivers in the NFL last year. Low 4.4. I just looked it up.
Uh-huh.
He ran a 4. It was a 4.5.
Uh-huh.
Now, we're not Jamar Chase running a 4.3.
But will he ever be a top 5 receiver in the NFL because he has maybe the physical talents to?
He was a top 5 receiver in the NFL this past season.
No, he wasn't.
1,400 yards. Yes, he was. 1, 2, 3. He's 3.
Oh, but just straight yardage? Okay, fine. Yes.
Yards, targets, receptions, touchdowns.
In your heart of hearts, do you think he is a top 5 receiver in the NFL? You don't.
Okay. Who is a top 5 receiver in the NFL, Joe?
We just talked about them. We talked about Puka Nacua.
Is Zay Flowers?
No.
He was the 6th best receiver.
I don't give 2 fucks.
Chris Olave? Probably not.
No.
Nico Collins? Probably not.
No, probably not top 5 receivers. No.
Williams?
No.
CeeDee Lamb?
I'm not a big people. There's some people that love CeeDee Lamb. I'm not a big CeeDee Lamb fan.
Then, bro, half these motherfuckers are mid, and then some of them just fucking receivers.
Yes, I very much understand that, but I'm saying
elite every single year you need 4.4 speed.
I don't think so. Every single year?
Yes, to be elite every single year, even day in, day out,
like
whether you have quarterback play or not, you need 4.4 speed.
But you just said JSN he's an alien in a different way that you that you understand.
Literally every other box is checked besides the 4.4 speed.
And he doesn't have the size. He doesn't have a huge size either.
He's 6'2". That's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine for a receiver. 6'2" is honestly probably a larger receiver nowadays. Jamar Chase is 6 foot. 6 foot.
Yeah. No. Yes. Needing to have a 6'4" receiver is not necessarily a need anymore.
It's never been needed.
Receivers are probably more
versatile than 6 foot to 6'3".
Let's be honest. They're talking about drafting Zay Flowers is like 5'10".
And that's the thing.
So as long as you can use them correctly, receivers can be useful.
Every single year, you need 4.4 speed at minimum. Which is why Justin Jefferson's played 17 games with shoddy quarterback play, barely cracked 1,000.
Right.
Jamar Chase has been well over 1,000 every single year he's played.
Yeah.
Several games without Joe Burrow.
Yeah, for sure. Again, he is like the more like
4.4 speed.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. But I'm saying you don't need that to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL or a top 10 receiver in the NFL. You don't.
Every single year, yes, you do. With or without quarterback play, because most of these guys in the top 15 receivers have great quarterbacks or at least consistent quarterback play. Which is why Justin Jefferson, year in, year out, isn't always amongst the top receivers. Right now, he sits at 12 in most yards, receptions, just all in all.
Yeah, because his quarterback play was like god awful, but ugly awful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not on him.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. To be elite at a position, you need to be able to do it with or without a quarterback in a way that he always can. Can't always do that. Now, I'm not saying he's not top 5. He is one of the best receivers in the NFL year in, year out. But again, I watched Jamar Chase have almost 200 yards with Joe Flacco. I watched Jamar Chase have...
Joe Flacco is
I watched Jamar Chase have almost 200 yards with Jake Browning.
Okay, Jake Browning was more of a better argument. But I say Joe Flacco does have a supreme... even at 40 years old...
He's accurate as fuck.
He has an arm that... would destroy half the league for how good it is.
And he's accurate. That's why we kept Joe Flacco. Browning killed it, brought it out of a barn.
He's gone. Yes.
Jamar Chase put up 1,300 yards with him.
Yeah.
Top 5 receiver in the NFL. I think to be elite in the NFL every single year, you need to be a freak of nature like JSN. Supremely good at everything else. Mm-hmm. Like an Emeka Egbuka. Not 4.4 speed, but truly so good, like JSN. They're very similar players in my book. Emeka Egbuka just lacks some of the athleticism, like a JSN has.
JSN
Egbuka is more
quick, short area quickness is insane for JSN.
Yes, and he's
otherworldly.
He's a bigger body receiver.
Oh yeah,
he's
for
not
sure.
a skinny dude.
He's
Emeka Egbuka and Chris Olave are very similar receivers to me.
Chris Olave has better. He actually has long speed.
Which is fine.
Chris Olave actually ran a 4.4.
Year in, year out, Chris Olave is not an elite receiver because he lacks other things.
I think other things as in health because of his injuries.
And
quarterback play.
Chris Olave's kind of small.
No, Chris Olave is 6'1".
Yes. Chris Olave is small.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, yes.
You need Jamar Chase for everything.
Yeah, for sure. But he runs like a running. He kind of runs like a running back once he has the ball in his hand.
Doesn't matter how the fuck he's run. He's already 5 yards past the dude.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I think to be elite, year in, year out, you need 4.4 speed.
But at wide receiver, there's not that many. I'm saying there's not that many year in, year out top 5 receivers.
Jamar Chase.
I'm saying not that many. I'm saying guys that stick, there's Jamar Chase, Jay Jettas.
No.
Jay Jettas is a top 5 receiver.
Not
he is.
Year in, year out. Right now, it's telling me he's 12. CeeDee Lamb played 14 games and had more yards.
Yes, but CeeDee Lamb had much better quarterback play, and that's
CeeDee
with
Lamb
Dak
also
Prescott.
Had another dude on his team with 1,400 yards.
Yeah, but they couldn't do anything else but throw the football. They literally couldn't do anything else.
The fuck are the Vikings doing?
Vikings couldn't do anything because their quarterback play was so bad.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. To be good year in and year out, you need to have the speed.
I honestly don't think so.
when
That's
the
how
dude's
bad
asking.
bad JJ McCarthy was.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, bro. I can't. I don't. Nah.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Maybe we disagree on that. All right, these are the wide receivers I wanted to talk about, and when it came to the rankings, like I said already, Denzel Boston, Jordan Tyson, Chris Brazzell, Carnell Tate, Zachariah Branch. Mm-hmm. He had them tiered. He had a tier 1 being the top 2, Denzel Boston, Jordan Tyson. Tier 2 being Chris Brazzell and Carnell Tate, and then tier 3 being Zachariah Branch. So I went through and looked at. I took a couple hours and kind of looked through all these players, and then said what I wanted to say about them, kind of have my own thoughts, and then I also added Sim's thoughts if we needed them for whatever reason. So I went through them. And I know you did your own research, but I know you didn't write anything down, so you just have reactions as I go. Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington, 6'4", 212 pounds. When I was watching him, not blazing fast, physical with ball in his hands, good hands, makes contested catches, really good acceleration for his size. I don't think he's very fast, but when he does want to pick up speed, he can pick up speed a little faster. A really good route runner. And then for what Sim said, he has good start-stop speed. He also thinks good acceleration, and then he has him as a great route runner. I didn't think it was a necessarily crispy route tree, but I think he just doesn't want more power, so it comes off as being really good because they're so scared of his.
That's not a bad way to say that. Because I was agreeing with you with what he was saying. I thought his route running was good, but maybe how you're saying he may just do it with more power.
Yeah. I think some players, because he's not necessarily the fastest, but he has a big body. So getting beat deep is such a big problem that they are kind of giving him a lot of space. Yeah. So a lot of the short area routes are maybe not that crisp, but he already has so much space to begin with because they let him have it. So I think that comes off as being a better route runner than I think he probably is by comparison to some of the other players that are behind him.
I agree,
in his rankings,
which would probably expose him later on.
Right, even though I think he has a good bit of everything. I really do think when it comes to prototypical, you're looking for size and speed, I think he has a good portion of that. Do I think he's number one? Obviously, for me,
sounds like a number 2.
I think he can be a number 1. I just don't. He
sounds
can
like
be
a really good number 2.
No, for sure. I'm just. For me, because obviously coming into this, I obviously have Carnell Tate as number 1 receiver because he showed it. He showed it at Ohio State that when he's out there and playing, he can do everything. Big play receiver, can do everything. So I do have that coming in to where I'm a little bit slanted in that way. But I did try to be as positive as I possibly can be on these receivers as I looked at them.
Most people don't disagree with you that Carnell Tate is probably the best.
People have him as a top 10 receiver for the most part,
and I would agree.
He did what he was supposed to do at college, and what Chris Sims, he has been a guy that has always loved having an elite trait. If you don't have an elite trait, he is going to downgrade you no matter what. And this is what makes me pissed off about him having Denzel Boston at number 1, is that I don't think Denzel Boston has an elite trait other than his size. And I can maybe get behind the start-stop speed. The idea once he stops, he can get accelerating pretty quickly, get to his top speed faster.
Impressive.
Other than that, I don't see him ever really having an elite trait either. So the fact that he put a guy like this as number 1 that he would never have as a number 1 receiver in years past, and now he breaks his own rule to have this guy as a number 1 receiver doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
But I think Denzel Boston's a good receiver. He probably is a first-round pick, but there's so many different needs in this draft that I think it can get a little bit dicey. I think he might be a late-round first. But I don't even see him as being as good as the net guy he has number 2 on his list, Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, he's 6'2", 203. For me, I see him as having a great combo of size, explosiveness, and his injuries are an issue. He has a lot of injuries. He hasn't done anything in the pre-draft process at all because of I think a hamstring injury he's dealing with right now. Kind of the same as JSN coming out, because JSN having his hamstring injury didn't really do a lot during the pre-draft stuff because of that injury. He is a good route runner, creativity after the catch. If he gets the football in his hands, he's going to make a move, juke somebody out of their shoes and be able to make some creativity. Catching is not necessarily consistent. A little bit here or there, not necessarily, but he was better this last year. But in years before that, he wasn't as consistent as he has been. But I think when it comes to Chris Sims, he compared him to guys like Odell, JSN, with him being hard to tackle one-on-one. because of what he can do creativity-wise and the actual size and speed. I think if it comes to you're trying to look for a receiver that can do everything, this guy might be, like, because of his explosiveness, would make sense for me being like a guy that people would go after outside of the injury issue. What?
I'm starting to remember what I was thinking when I was watching these guys' highlights. He reminded me of Kadarius Toney.
He's a better all-around receiver than Kadarius Toney.
It was just a lot of his highlights that I was able to find and watch were creating after the catch, which was a huge part of why Kadarius Toney got drafted. Was his once the ball was in that, he was talented. Kadarius Toney couldn't catch for shit, which was his whole problem. And I've noticed this dude drops a lot of easy passes, but makes the freakazoid passes. And then his creating after the catch was immaculate. But it wasn't always for a positive. Sometimes he tried to create after the catch, and the ball would be knocked out. I don't think he didn't lose one. They were always recovered, but it was creating after the catch that was hurt him sometimes. And then a lot of the easy catches, there was one where it was an almost slant, and the ball just goes right through his hands if he just didn't catch it. And then there were certain plays where he was so focused on getting the ball and turning that he was messing up the routine things. He's too quick with his movements. Simple mistakes that should not happen as an NFL prospect. Sorry. Kadarius Toney was my only.
I think he's a better all around guy than Kadarius Toney. But I get after the catch. I do get what you're talking about.
No, I remember Kadarius Toney doing the same thing. He was so. I'm gonna get the ball. I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna juke this guy. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna go up the field. It was the simple things he would forget.
Yeah,
Kadarius Toney would make the freakazoid catches and not normal catches.
Yeah.
Now again, I'm comparing apple to oranges. There's similarities, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
But that was just the comp I got in my.
Because Kadarius Toney doesn't have nearly the size of a guy like this does.
But their play style was very similar.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can get that for sure.
I think a lot of the problem is a lot of his routes were usually pretty short, and an area gave him the ball and let him work.
Yeah, for sure.
Which it works, and it worked. But in a way, I feel like it's not how a lot of NFL offenses work nowadays.
You gotta be able to do everything.
Yeah.
There's room in the NFL for you to be a short, like a screen game type of receiver, throw it to you real quick, make something happen. But in order to make them scared of that, you also have to have some speed, like to make them think I can go deep on you too.
Yes.
Don't press. If you get a little too aggressive,
going short.
Yeah.
Me go up on you in a way that I don't think he has that right now.
What this was? Oh no, Jordan Tyson. I think he does. I think the explosiveness.
I don't think he has it right now.
I think maybe not the route. I think the route running is where it comes a little bit not as crisp. But when it comes to his actual explosiveness, like once he gets running, he can outrun dudes. He can beat you deep. That is not necessarily going to be his issue. Then the injuries may be a part of that, to where he's not always going to be able to do that all the time. But again, up to this point, maybe once you draft him and get the right guys behind him when it comes to the medical team, he'll be fine and not have the issue. But injuries has been his thing in college, to where that is the thing that I would have understood him being Chris Sims' number one guy, because I think he just has some explosiveness that the other guys on the list doesn't have, other than maybe like Chris Brazzell, who was like, he's like all type of like big bodies, very fast type of receiver. But I think he is like the all around, like why I could see him. He's probably going to be a first round pick, probably in the mid first round. But I think he's a very good receiver. As long as the injuries get figured out, I do think he can be a good all around dude. That can be a number one. I truly think that. The next receiver, Chris Brazzell, his number 3, 6'4", 198. He ran a 4.37 40. At that size and that speed, he was compared to a guy like T. Higgins and Pickens by Chris Sims, which makes sense at that size and they can run that speed. That makes a lot of sense. From what I saw watching him play, he's tall and long. He makes contested catches with his length very consistently. Doesn't have a lot of power, but again,
Braswell or
Brazzell. But he makes a
Tennessee.
Yeah. What I can say with like some of like the issues with Tennessee receivers not being able to actually play receiver, he wasn't a Tennessee receiver his whole time in college. He played at Tulane before that, so there was a time where he was actually asked to be a real receiver. But even when he was asked to be the big play guy, he was able to do so because of his longness and him being able to be as fast as he is. And then he also does catch with he makes good contested catches and makes use of the length that he does have. He might have the best acceleration of all the receivers here just because he can get to his top speed very quickly. Chris Sims pretty much said the same thing as me. Long might have the best acceleration, plays big and fast. I think this is a guy that I think most years Chris Sims would probably have as number one guy because he has the elite speed and the elite size that you just can't teach that in the NFL. But I just think for him, there might be a little bit more for him to learn when it comes to running good routes and being a good all-around receiver.
Okay, this one I could not remember. T. Higgins is a great comp, especially coming out of college. I actually think they're the same player. From what I did this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
From what I can notice, he has really strong hands like T. Higgins. He's making catches and getting the catch, the ball's in his hands, dude's hands up there, and he is just moving out the way.
Yeah.
Getting away. His acceleration is really good.
Yeah.
His route running is horrendous.
Again, he didn't have to show to Tennessee because they don't ask the receivers to do that.
No, but I'm talking it just looks sloppy.
Yeah.
ETSU is who I closed. I'm good. I've seen enough of your route running. Of this, the dude he's playing against, not even D3 competition. I don't know the school. It is just and I'm like, no. And I look at him like, you look like T. Higgins, man. Everything about him screams that, which that's not bad by any means. I understand why in years past he would be the number one guy on the board, and I do believe he is more talented than the last two guys.
Oh yeah, but when it comes to size and speed, he has that.
He does, and he has strong hands. Yeah. He's good in short range. He was good in deep.
He uses his size very well.
He does.
Yeah.
He honestly is a pretty well-rounded receiver, except he can't run routes really well, and he does have some short area quickness.
Yeah,
where he is on.
Give him a quick pass. He can take it to the house. He can run deep. He can do all of that.
He is a bigger receiver.
Oh yeah,
and he can stuff dudes. So in all honesty,
he doesn't play with a lot of strength though. He doesn't. He's a wire. Like again, he's 6'4", 198. He is wiry.
Yeah.
So he didn't look like he had a huge frame where you could throw on. Maybe you can throw on 10 extra pounds, maybe help him out. But he's never going to be a guy walking around at 220, like a guy like Jeremiah Smith who's 6'4", 220.
Probably like
he does.
Size.
He can sit around 210, maybe help out that a little bit. But he's never going to be able to if somebody tries to play tough with him at the line of scrimmage, I don't think he's going to do great at battling them off.
It's not this play, but the next play is he just has strong hands and he's good at using his size. And we've ran that same play with T. Higgins before.
Yeah.
Of his hands are just strong.
Yeah.
In all honesty, compared to the other two guys, I think this is more of a sure hit of he will be good. He has everything else.
The route running can be taught. That's the one thing that can be taught.
T. Higgins has gotten better over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
This would be my number 2 prospect on my board.
I don't blame you. No, seriously. There's some things at the end of the day, there's some things you can't teach, and it's the things that you were given from birth, and it's the size and the speed that he has that cannot be replicated by knowing the routes perfectly.
He plays well. Even bad thrown balls.
He has such length. His catch radius. His catch radius is so long. Everything is available.
Perfect comp. And if I'm being honest with you, this player is very similar to T. Higgins. Maybe T. Higgins might be a little faster. But I don't
think T. Higgins is faster than him. But I think T. Higgins was bigger. I think T. Higgins has more filled out coming out of college.
6'4", 6'5", though. I think T. Higgins is really tall.
Yeah, but so is he. He's Chris Brown's 6'4".
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a little more filled out.
Filled out. He just has more mass to him naturally. I just think Chris Brown doesn't have that. I don't think he has the same play strength.
Probably sits at 220.
Yeah, he's sitting around 215, 220. That's where he's sitting. So he just has a little more, he just has a bigger frame to him, where I think Chris Brown doesn't have that. He is not going to sit here and just sit there and battle you out strength wise. He will do it with his length and with his speed. That'll be what he can do. But again, as long as he gets the actual routes figured out, and I think that's something that can be taught. Yeah. I think he can be a very, very good number one receiver.
I believe he has all the intangibles.
Yeah.
And is probably, in all honesty, if teams are scouting these players how I believe they are, I believe he's probably a higher pick than the others.
I think from what I've
mid-teens.
From what I've seen, it's
foresee him.
I think the ones that it's I think how most people have it ranked, it's obviously, why am I going? Carnell Tate. Then it is
Lemon.
no. Well, people want to keep saying the Lemon. I think he is a fucking I don't think he's good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I told you to look up Lemon too because I did actually look up him as well.
I don't need to. I saw him play. I don't think he's that great.
He plays like, well, I'll get to him, but my main thing is he plays like Puka, but he's not nearly as big and strong as Puka.
Yeah.
So playing like that doesn't make sense if you actually can never put on the size and the frame to make that work. Because he's not fast either. No. Not only is he not fast, he's not big or strong enough, and he's never going to put on the weight to make it work. So I think if he's not going to be a perfect slot, I don't think it's okay. We'll get to him. But Chris Brazzell, very good receiver all around, makes a lot of sense. I think he'd be a number one guy that people just look at all the tangibles, the height and the speed.
He's a mid first round pick.
Yeah, no doubt. And the way I have it ranked, I would probably, where I see it, Tate. Then I would go with Jordan Tyson because I just think he has a real ceiling to be like a Jay Jettas, a JSN type.
I don't know.
Again, the injuries is the one thing, but I think otherwise, I think he has a lot of everything.
Messing up the simple things bothers me. Being able to do the spectacular things has transferred into a lot of receivers that can't do the simple things.
Maybe.
And that's where it loses me just a little bit.
And then after that, then I would go to like having a Brazzell and then Boston. And then I wouldn't even have Zachariah Branch up there, but that's for a totally different thing. I'll get to him. Next one in Chris Sims' list is Carnell Tate. I know a lot about him off the top of my head. Smooth route runner, contested catch maker. Not the fastest, but he has good routes, and he has enough speed that if you do take him lightly, he can take you deep. It's not like sneaky speed like a white dude. He does have enough speed to get the job done when necessary. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say the 4 or 5 that are at I think there was a whole story about how the laser timer was wrong because of how he runs. I think when he re-ran at Ohio State, it was like a high 4.4s. So he has enough speed to get the job done. Again, my whole claim is you don't need to have 4.4 speed to make it in the NFL.
Look, dude,
he can do everything you need him to do.
I didn't even look up this dude playing. I've seen it enough. I understand what he is. I understand that, again, he's another Emeka Egbuka type where I'm not elite speed, but I'm going to do everything else correctly.
He's going to do everything else correctly. He's going to be your quarterback's best friend.
He's going to get to a team and be the number one automatically.
Yeah.
Because I, honest to God, believe everybody else thinks he's the number one receiver in the draft. So I got nothing to say on him. You know where I stand on this. Of everything, OSU does produce NFL-ready receivers.
Yeah.
Whether they're number one guys, number two guys, they're NFL caliber guys.
Yep. This is what Sim said. Smooth, good route runner, QB friendly, NFL ready, not as explosive, no elite trait. Thinks he benefited from being a wide receiver 2 at Ohio State and not a top 5 or top 10 pick and not a good yak player. Apparently he has a big problem with Ohio State never trying to throw him a quick route and to have him run after the catch because he thinks that Ohio State believes he's not a guy that can create after the catch. I think Ohio State just didn't have that enough in their offense at all. I don't think we did enough for Jeremiah Smith doing that, even though Jeremiah Smith has that type of freaky speed.
You said at the start, and I was like, "I'll just be an Ohio State fan." I was like, "But those are ticky-tacky." You're not wrong. Those are very ticky-tacky.
Yeah, things. All very ticky-tacky. I think he showed more than enough of everything. And I think the short route stuff, Ohio State just didn't do that enough at all last year. So I think it took it away from the whole offense.
Yes.
So I'm not going to blame Carnell Tate for that whatsoever like he did. But I just think Carnell Tate showed it at Ohio State where he, even with a guy like Jeremiah Smith being the all-around probably best player in college football, Carnell Tate showed while he's out there that he can be just as explosive and just as big of a receiver as him based on the role that he plays as a number 2 receiver, just like Emeka Egbuka did while he was sitting on the other side of Marvin Harrison. So the only downside was that he was the number 2 while an all-time receiver was at the other side. But other than that, I think Carnell Tate can do everything. He's a top 10 worthy pick. And anybody, if you're going to sit here and let him fall to a better team later on in the draft because everybody else is stupid, you're going to make a mistake because he's going to be one of those receivers that's going to literally start out hot from day one, just like Mech did last year with the freaking Buccaneers. So that's the mistake you're making if you're going to let him drop. So don't make it, especially for the Browns, because if you're sitting at 6, you don't have a receiver in your team that can do anything. Why would you let a guy like him fall, which is insane to me. Next one, Zachariah Branch, 5'9", 177. Chris Sims has him as the 5th receiver. When I watched him, he's a great yak player with great speed. He's very fast. I think he ran like a four. I think he ran like low 4.4s, high 4.3s. Explosive slot receiver. I don't think he'll be an outside receiver at all, just because of his size. Hit like 5'9", 177. Not only does he not have the frame, he's not even close to being a really tall guy at all. He does have very good speed. I think as a slot receiver, if he can get into the right system, I think he can do some really good things. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, he's so small. And he reminds me a lot of freaking, you said his name. You said him earlier from the Ravens.
Zay Flowers.
He reminds me a lot of Zay Flowers. He's probably more explosive than Zay Flowers when it comes to actually track speed. I think Zachariah Branch was beat everybody in high school, like a top 10 like track runner in high school. So like he has that all-time speed that you could potentially be looking for. But I just think his size is such a big thing. Like if he's not going to the perfect system that knows how to use him, I don't think he really has a lot of versatility outside of being a really good slot if he can do that. So Sim said that he runs tough and plays bigger than his size. Most explosive in short area. He said that Jalen Waddle reminds him of him. So like, he reminds him of Jalen Waddle, which I get that to a certain extent. I think Jalen Waddle is still a little bit bigger and can do a little bit more like on the outside in comparison. But I just think Zachariah Branch, he's just such a small player. I don't like. There's a reason why small wide receivers don't work in the like of all the things that wide receivers have changed over the years. They don't need to be the 6'4" big bruising guys. Like now, instead of having to be like 6'2", 6'3" to be a top receiver, you can be 6 foot. But now we're getting down to being 5'9". Like, come on, dude. Like you're out there with real monsters out there, even at the corner and safety positions. We're talking like a guy like Kyle Hamilton can be 6'4" and over 200 pounds and run as fast as he does. Like, I'm like, when you're that small, just in the corners, like they all are tall and long, and I just feel like he doesn't have enough versatility because of his lack of size. His speed is elite though, but it's just having elite speed isn't enough either. Which I think is the difference. Is that I think the NFL has proven. What was the guy that you guys picked up?
John Ross.
John Ross, elite speed, couldn't catch the broadside of a barn, couldn't figure it out, and he just didn't work out in the NFL whatsoever. So that was my big thing on him. I don't think he's a top 5 worthy receiver, but Chris Sims is always a weird one with how he ranks them. And now to Mekhi Lemon, 5'11", 192. For me, when I watch him, he's smaller, not as athletic that for his size. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash. So not only is he not big, he's not very fast either. He runs tough. He's a slot receiver with less explosiveness. He's really going to be, if he does work out in the NFL, he's going to be a guy that'll find the open space in open slots and zone coverage. And he can be a quarterback's best friend if he does make that relationship with the quarterback he ends up going to in the next level. He's a small slot though. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think the things that he does in college football that made him so good, I just don't think he'll be able to do those exact same things in the NFL when you have a bunch of elite athletes on the field at all times, unlike what you're doing in college. That'll be able to know what you're doing by trying to find the weaknesses in the defense. First, what Sim said, he said he's not explosive, has good play strength, he's a small slot, without elite trait. Not JSN, obviously, because people like to compare him to JSN. The difference is that JSN has an elite area quickness that is very like unworldly, how fast he is and such in short areas. That is not what Mekhi Lemon is whatsoever. And like I said before, he reminds me of Puka Nacua, but he's not as big or as strong as him. So doing the things that Puka Nacua does is just not in his bag because he doesn't have that same type of play strength because of his lack of size and speed. All in all. Other notable receivers, even though Mekhi Lemon might be picked up in the first round, I don't know why he should be. But the thing is about what some of these receivers is they like to see you do it in college football, and sometimes it takes a little bit more. There's some teams that like to do I'd rather be the team that kind of gets the best out of a player even if he didn't show it in college. And there's other players that play their best in college and you know what they are at their best, and you just need to make it work for where you're at. And some people will be able to look at Mekhi Lemon and be like, I saw that he was very good at USC, playing very well, and they're willing to take that even if he doesn't have any of the. Doesn't have a lot of clay to deal with. Like he's already pretty much a ready-made player. He won't get much better than what he's at right now. Other notable wide receivers that I looked at, Jeremy Bernard from Alabama, all-around receiver, not the fastest, but I think whoever gets drafted to, he can be a very good number 2 in the NFL. Another one is Deion Burks from Oklahoma, smaller slot, good speed, deep, but he doesn't have great hands, and I think that he still needs a little bit of growing to do when it comes to being an all-around receiver, but I do think he has some tools there. And then Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana, not very athletic, but he's a slot that runs tough. I think he does remind me a little bit more of like a Puka Nacua type, even though I don't think, again, Puka Nacua, like you said, is kind of in a perfect spot where all of his strengths can be kind of like accentuated. So like maybe Omar Cooper Jr. can find a really good spot where like they know how to use him and he'll be able to be a lot more effective. But when it comes to what he did in college, it's just he can be a quarterback's best friend, but never like one of those top flight type of dudes like you're getting. But some people are trying to say he might be like a second round pick or something. Like, might be a little too high on that, but it is what it is on that. So those wide receivers. Any other main thing about the wide receivers you want to talk about before we go to the quarterbacks? All right, Chris, quarterbacks now. Chris Sims had his quarterback rankings. He had Mendoza at number 1 in tier 1 by himself. He had Ty Simpson in tier 2 at number 2 by himself. And then he had a tier 3 of the last 3 guys in the top 5. He had Baron Morton at 3. He had Joey Aguilar. Baron Morton was at Texas Tech. He had Joey Aguilar, who is the quarterback at Tennessee, at number 4. And then he had number 5, he had Garrett Nussmeier. Chris Sims, quarterback-wise, is always a little weird for me. He's a guy that loves tools, all of that. Again, he one thing he has done well that I actually agree with, when C.J. Stroud was coming out, everybody was going crazy for Bryce Young. And he was the one guy of everybody that said, I think C.J. Stroud will be a better NFL quarterback than Bryce Young by a landslide. And this last year notwithstanding, I think C.J. Stroud has proven to be a real NFL quarterback that'll be able to have a long NFL career. And I think they're a little bit more for Bryce Young. He has some growing to do, not physically, but when it comes to being an all-around quarterback to be able to make up for some of those deficiencies to even be close to what C.J. Stroud can be at his best. All right. So for the quarterbacks, I went through, did the exact same thing as I did for the wide receivers. Fernando Mendoza, I just went through his rankings and did it one by one. Mendoza, 6'5", 236, out of Indiana. Big frame, uses it to run when needed. Not crazy athletic like a Josh Allen, but he has enough movement to like get the yards. Kind of like he has enough moves to get the yards and like run tough. Okay?
Kind of like who? Kind of like who?
He's not a Josh Allen.
Kind of like a Will Howard.
I think Josh Allen athletically is closer to Josh Allen.
No.
When it comes to running?
Mendoza?
Huh? I think Josh Allen's closer to Josh Allen when it comes to actually running. I think.
What? Are you having a stroke?
No.
I think Josh Allen is closer to Josh Allen, is what you're saying to me.
I'm saying Will Howard is closer to Josh Allen than Mendoza is.
That's not what you've been saying.
Oh.
You've been saying, I think Josh Allen's closer to Josh Allen. I'm like,
oh, sorry. Maybe I was having a stroke.
And then you say it again. You said it 3 times in a row.
My bad.
And that's why
I'm
confused. Okay, here's my thing. Will Howard was a 6th-round pick.
Uh-huh.
Mendoza's the number 1 overall pick.
Uh-huh.
They're the same fucking player. I actually think he's less.
Okay, before you go negative, let me try to be a positive guy for a second.
Joe, look at me. I think this is a garbage fucking quarterback draft.
Oh, I think so too.
Ty Simpson is fucking horrendous. I think he is awful under stress. Awful under it. Any type of fucking pressure, he's crumbling. I think safeties took advantage of him because this motherfucker would stare at targets. I think safeties took advantage of him all the fucking time.
Talking about Ty?
Yes.
Why are you going to Ty? We're at Fernando.
Because he's the number 1 overall pick, and he's not that fucking good. I think he's worse than Will Howard in almost every fucking concept. I think Will Howard had a better arm. I think Will Howard was had a bigger overall frame, was a better runner, and just a better overall quarterback. You know why he's the number 1 overall pick? No one else to fucking pick. And everybody's like, we need a fucking quarterback. Do you know who they got to guide him so he don't have to start? Mr. Mid?
Mr. Kirk O'Chains himself.
Mr. Run Your Fucking Pockets? Like, what are we doing? This dude, I think Mendoza is a starter at best. That's it. I think he's a starter. I think Ty Simpson's going to be picked way too fucking early, and it's going to be a fucking bust. I truly do think you guys got lucky, Will Howard. Y'all give him the chance to play, I think he will fucking ball. Because dude, no. I'm not gonna lie to you. This quarterback class is pissing me off.
This is what I saw out of Mendoza. Throws a good ball, not a howitzer arm, but enough to make every throw. Accurate, makes good decisions with a clean pocket. When things get a little messy, things can get a little weird.
Well, how do you do that?
He will take a hit to get a big play. Show some creativity to extend plays and make throws on the run. He can get happy feet with chaos in the pocket, make some mistakes. Feel like I can gauge emotion while watching. Can be knocked off mentally compared to a Joe Burrow. Assassin, calmness, and chaos. So Chris Sims, when watching him, when talking about him, compared him to Joe Burrow. And I can't see it whatsoever. Okay. But
Joe Burrow in 2018.
Do you know what I saw in Mendoza? I see Tom Brady.
No.
And I see Tom Brady sorry. When at his best,
I'm out.
What he can look like is a Tom Brady.
I'm out. No.
He can sit in the pocket.
I'm out.
He can make all the throws necessary.
Nope, I'm good.
I'm talking about the type of quarterback, not saying he can be Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm saying this nigga's not that. Ever.
But my problem with Chris Sims when he tried to compare him to Joe Burrow and how good of a first overall pick he can be. He's not that. He's not. And just like you said earlier, it's because his quarterback class is not good. He has made himself the number one guy overall. And unfortunately, there is a team at the top in the Las Vegas Raiders that needs a quarterback, and he has turned himself into the obvious guy. He played awesome last year with the Indiana Hoosiers. They did what nobody thought they can do, and went out there and won a national championship, something nobody ever thought could happen. And honestly, in big moments, he did show up. But I don't think when looking at him that he is a number one type of quarterback in a way that the Joe Burrows and the other guys that have been picked at number one have been overall.
Dude, again, I think he's inflated by the fact that this is a bad quarterback class. I truly don't think he's better than Will Howard in any aspect of how they play.
I agree with you with what I saw with Will Howard too at Ohio State in 1 year, just like we all saw of Fernando in 1 year at Indiana. But it's just I don't want to go down that road because I could just be seen as an Ohio State homer.
Dude, I've been saying this whole time. I don't want to give y'all anything, but honestly, dude, I can't. I can't.
I don't see it either. But again, when people try to compare him to Burrow, I'm like, not even fucking close. And it made me actually go watch that Joe Burrow Heisman year, and made me make sure I wasn't tweaking when I was thinking about what Joe Burrow was at LSU. And I saw a totally different quarterback. I saw an assassin. I saw a guy that can do everything. He can run. He can throw every ball necessary. He had the toughness to go out there and get some tough yards when necessary. And this is where the difference was for me, is that at the level that he was at, the assassin was the biggest thing. He was going to be able to throw through any issues that he had to have. He was not going to be broken down by any issues. He was going to, nothing was going to take him 2 up or 2 down, just like he has shown in the NFL. That when Joe Burrow's out there, he has ice in his veins, and he's even through some of the struggles he's had, I have all the confidence in the world. Nothing's going to bring him down because that's the type of quarterback that he is. And when I compare him to a guy like Mendoza, like I said, I felt like I can see his emotion watching. Even though I'm nowhere close to him, I can see his emotion through the television. When he doesn't seem all that confident, I can see it in the way that he carries himself. But when he feels protected and secured, he can go out there and make any throw you possibly can ask him to do. And that's where I do want to give him a little bit of credit that he can be a Tom Brady type to, when he's given a clean pocket, go out there and run your offense like you need him to. But that's the thing. What people are asking for in the NFL, they're asking for not that. They want guys that can go out there and be able to do things outside of the norm when necessary. And that's where I think Fernando can be a little bit lacking in that area, even though I do think he does have the physical tools to do so. So maybe with, like you said, getting a guy like Kirk O'Chains to be the mentor to him, maybe they can figure that out and kind of grow that a little bit more if he's not going to be looked at as having to be the starter from game one. Maybe that can be kind of built up with Tom Brady and Kirko being his idols over the first year or so. Well, I don't think he's going to wait a whole year before playing. I really don't think so. But however much time it takes, I do think he can probably learn a few things and get a little bit better. But like you said before, having him as a lockdown number one quarterback, I don't feel as confident about that as other people do throughout the NFL world that just think that automatically he's worthy of being that number one overall pick. I don't think so. Which is where when I see people talk about Ty Simpson and what they can see from him at his best, I can understand where people are trying to find a reason. All right, this is where we might have an issue with Ty. So that's Fernando. I get why he's number one overall pick. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think it's necessarily a grand slam like everybody's saying it's going to be. But I think his floor is very high. If that's the best thing I can give him, is that I think at his floor he is a starter. I think he could really make it he can be a Kirk Cousins type. Okay. A starter in the NFL.
I have notes for Ty Simpson. I had notes for Mendoza, but I did not.
Do you want to go first then?
No, that's up to you.
On Ty? I'll give okay, we'll go to Ty now. Alabama quarterback, 6'1", 211. I'll just give you my notes and I'll let you go. Smaller quarterback, does show some juice when running. I think once he gets to top speed, he can run a little bit. Was asked to make throws all over the football field, including the middle of the field, which I would compare him to a guy like Mendoza. Mendoza was not asked to make middle of the field throws at all. Mm-hmm. All of Mendoza's throws were outside the numbers, back shoulder throws or big throws down the field. I think Tyson was asked to do a little bit more in that aspect. In Joe Burrow, when I compared to Joe Burrow was asked to do a lot of middle of the field throws and make some short window throws. I think Ty Simpson was asked to do that a little bit at Alabama.
Dude, I'm about to rip this dude.
Okay. He has a good arm, but not great, but he has a good enough arm to make throws. Not great accuracy and isn't consistent whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Shows the ability to make questionable decisions. And the talk during the back half of the season was because of an injury that he had due to his smaller. But again, injuries he's going to have due to his smaller frame. He's not going to be able to change that. Injuries will be an issue, but is said to play in some of his struggles as well. Okay. But the problem is that injuries are always going to happen. You have to be able to play through those. And if the injuries are going to impact him that much to where he goes from looking like one of the better quarterbacks in college football in the first half of the year to being one of the worst ones in the back half, that is the problem for me where I'm like, I don't know how that's going to translate once he gets there. Yep. But I do get people that want to have some fantasies as to some of the good throws he can make. The good throws look great, but it's just the bad ones are too often and they happen too often and too regularly to where I can feel any confidence in him being a first round pick, let alone if you're talking about him in the second and third round, I can understand you taking a flyer. But if anybody takes, especially the Steelers take him in the first round, I'd want to kill myself. I would feel worse about taking him in the first round than Kenny Pickett. Go ahead. You go on and rip him a new one if you like.
Okay. He has okay arm talent at best. He has okay arm talent at best. It is okay. He has inconsistent timing on throws. From when I was watching his tape, his deep throws were everywhere. They were never fucking consistent. His ability to extend plays over just, hey, I should take this short route was a huge thing. I hate Ty Simpson because I believe this is going to be a fucking miss. So he would want to extend a play, trying to find a deeper throw instead of just, I should check this check down. He would take unnecessary sacks was a big one. I noticed he's just holding the ball. There's no play opening up. He's just holding the ball.
Oh, yeah. I will give him this credit is that they did not have a run game at all. So I get maybe the idea of if I don't get a big play, we're never going to be able to we're never going to be able to inch our way down the field using the run game at all because our run game is so bad. Mm-hmm. So maybe that pressure on him would made him make worse decisions than he probably would have made if he felt like he had a little bit of support in the running game like he probably needed at Alabama.
And as I already said, he crumbles under pressure, which made his ball placement inconsistent. And then safeties and linebackers would really take advantage of him. He would make a lot of poor decisions if there was safeties pressing his receivers and if there was linebackers kind of staying too close. He'd make a lot of poor decisions. Mm-hmm. And then one thing I don't personally hold against quarterbacks, but some people do. Only one season of starting. That's another thing. I don't hold against them, but Some people do.
He can't control the fact that the guy, he wasn't, I guess partially you can. If you're good enough, you'll get put on the field.
Which means he wasn't.
He wasn't good enough.
Recruit.
I don't think he, I think
five. No, he's a 5-star.
Dang. I'm okay. We're ready then. That's gross to me, but okay.
So I think he's horrible.
Hey, so I guess he was there during the. Who would he have been there with? Oh, he would have been there with
He has a ring now. He's a Seahawk.
What?
The quarterback. He's a Seahawk.
Sam Darnold?
No, you fucking dumbass. The quarterback that was in Alabama with the dude who he was there with, the black dude.
I was thinking he was with. Why am I having such a hard time remembering his name? I got his name earlier. Goodness gracious! I was thinking he was there with. I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Nope. Freaking Bryce Young. He was there with Bryce.
No, he was there with Milroe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was there with Milroe. He was on the Seahawks, wasn't he? I totally forgot they drafted him. Ugh, gross.
And he couldn't beat him out for a job.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're not wrong.
His ass.
Yeah. No, okay. I'll give you that. You gotta go?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you guys heard just now, Jace had to get out of here. But I don't really blame him too much for. He did give us 2 hours, so nothing to really feel bad for when it comes to that. So without further ado, I guess may as well get to the rest of what I was trying to say, which isn't that much now that he's gone. I think my main thing about the Ty Simpson thing we were just talking about was I don't think... like I already said before, I feel worse if like the Steelers picked him up at late in the first round than when they picked up Kenny Pickett. But for the people, and this is part of the reason why I want to talk about this, like was during the week when I was about to, wanted to do all this quarterback stuff 2 weeks ago. And again, I messed up on that. Sorry guys, this is a little late. But the main story coming out was Dan Orlovsky coming out and talking about how he thought Ty Simpson was his number one quarterback coming out in the draft rather than Fernando Mendoza, who is universally the number one guy. And me and Jason have already made it clear about our apprehension about Fernando to a certain extent, but even with all of our apprehension about Fernando Mendoza, I think we both still look at him as a better guy than what Ty Simpson is by a wide margin. But here's where I can't get behind what a guy like Orlovsky said, because not only do I not think that, because he was trying to say that there's GMs that would agree with him, and I'm like, what actual GMs would actually say that? But this is where I can maybe understand with the argument he was trying to make. I think the job that Ty Simpson had at Alabama, what they were asking him to do there was more difficult than what Fernando had to do at Indiana. Okay, which is crazy to say because the idea that a guy like Fernando Mendoza at the University of Indiana, the Hoosiers, in the year 2026 at football has more help around him than the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. When it comes to historically, that's an insane thing to say, but that's where we are at currently in this time of college football, where a place like Indiana can put up a better team than a school, than a program like the University of Alabama, based on how Nick Saban not being there anymore, and the money being very similar now. Now the northern schools can actually pay above board, pay big money for players and all that. Even though I'm not saying that Indiana was paying big money for the team they had this year, which I think that's what makes them so, their story so insane, is that they don't have a bunch of 5 stars on their roster or anything like that. It wasn't like Fernando was looked at as a 5-star type of player coming out of high school, or even when he transferred to Indiana. People were looking at him as can be an okay guy and play some good football there, but nobody was thinking he was going to have the year that Fernando had last year. But back to the whole point on Ty Simpson, where Orlovsky was coming from, I think Ty Simpson, more weight was put on his shoulders to run the offense than Fernando was for Indiana. In that case, what I'm talking about when it comes to Ty, there was no running game at Alabama. They did not have a running game to rely on whatsoever, and I think Fernando Mendoza had 2 running backs that were averaging over 5 yards a carry. The offensive line for Alabama was awful last year, and I think the Indiana offensive line, even though they didn't have a bunch of 5-star stud type of guys like they have at Alabama, but they had an offensive line that were veteran, that knew what they were doing, and they were very good at keeping pressure off of Fernando in a way that Ty Simpson didn't have that same type of help. And then when it comes to wide receivers, I think Indiana had better wide receivers when it comes to knowing what they were supposed to do. I'm not going to sit here and say that Indiana receivers were more talented than what Ty Simpson had at Alabama, but I will say that Indiana receivers knew exactly what their roles were, and they were playing them to perfection in a way that I don't think they were doing so at Alabama. I just don't think so, especially with them having a guy like Ryan Williams. They're a 5-star guy out of Alabama, not nearly being the receiver that they want him to be and that they thought he was going to be after his first year 2 years ago. Not this past season before that. So is that 2 years or just a year? I'm not sure, but I'm not good at math. Even though I actually kind of am. It's just, I don't know. So, and then when it comes to, obviously on the field, Fernando Mendoza did a lot more, and he played up in big moments in a way that Ty Simpson wasn't going to, and it didn't matter about what they have alongside them. But I just think when it comes to the hard moments, I think Fernando Mendoza is a guy that can play better than what his stature is and what his talent is in a way that Ty Simpson cannot, and I think he crumbled, especially later on in the season last year. Injuries or not, I think injuries are going to happen, and I don't think you can necessarily use that as an excuse for a whole half of a year not playing well. So that's where you're not really going to get anything with me. But I just think all in all, with what Ty Simpson was asked to do when it comes to the offense he was running, I think asked him to make a lot more throws in tight spots where, like, I think defenses knew that they didn't have a run game, and they were really ready for the pass all the time, to where I can see why with some of the throws that he was able to make, I can understand why a guy like Dan Orlovsky can get infatuated with some of those wow throws he can make. But I just think between those wow throws, there were too many non-wow throws / shouldn't have thrown them whatsoever to make him even viable to be the number 1 quarterback at all in this class, let alone any other class. Or just like, I just think Fernando Mendoza is a lot more consistent to where I just would never make that statement at all. And I think Orlovsky probably learned his lesson in this fact, where even though I do think, I don't know. I think he just put a little bit too much stock into the throws that he saw that were good, rather than taking in totality all of what he did in college. In comparison, I just think he watches tape and just sees the wow throws, and that's all he gets attached to, not the bad things that were very apparent throughout last season that you just can't get over if you actually watched all of what Ty Simpson did last year rather than just watching the highlights. You know? But that's about it on Ty Simpson, man. I don't think he's a first-round pick. I think if he's a second or third-round pick, I'd be a little more okay with it. But unfortunately, if you're a team that needs a quarterback, why take him in the second round? If you could take him in the first round and get a fifth-year option and do all that, that's where I'm like, man, now we're overdrafting dudes, not only because they're quarterbacks, but because you'd rather have the flexibility to be able to get him for a fifth year if he's actually good. And that's where it's like, ugh. I'm like, remember when the Eagles picked up Jalen Hurts in the second round and how, again, the issues recently notwithstanding, like how well it worked out? Like, imagine if Jalen Hurts is a first-round pick. I think we'd look at him a lot differently than we do right now. So I just think that once you take a guy in the first round, it puts a whole different type of pressure on a guy that I just don't think Ty Simpson's talented enough or good enough to make work. At least as of right now. Maybe he gets in the NFL, wherever he goes to, and changes it all around and makes me look stupid. I'd be more than happy to accept it if that was the case. But I just don't see it as of right now. Neither does Jace. So I have two other I did one. Let me see here. I did two other quarterbacks that I actually looked up and actually did some. What is the word I'm looking for? Did some actual. No, what is the word I'm trying to look for? Research on. Chris Sims in his rankings did have Baron Morton as the number 3 guy in his rankings. I didn't even do the work of trying to look him up because the way I looked at him was Texas Tech fans in the school wanted him gone so bad. And again, this is a team that made the playoffs and did all that, but every time he got on the field, he was all over the place. And I just did not see enough to where I felt like even doing a deep dive on what he was, just based off how his own team feels about him. Like, people were happy to see him go, and they're more than happy to, like, let him walk out. And I just don't feel like he was even, like, this wasn't good enough to even go down that road, okay? So maybe I'm crazy about this. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going too far, but I don't know. But the other two quarterbacks I did a little bit of work on was his, and then Joey Aguilar. For him, I didn't do a lot of research on him, but I saw enough of what he can do. He was Chris Sims' fourth-ranked quarterback. When I saw him, I think he was a decently good quarterback, but he played a lot of college football. I think he was like a 6th or 7th year guy. He was also a quarterback that I feel if he could have stayed for another year and had another year at eligibility, he probably would have stayed because he's just not going to be a highly sought out type of talent. He has a big arm, but I just think when it comes to, he's not necessarily all that big of a quarterback. He doesn't make great decisions all the time. When he does get pressure in his face, he's not going to make good decisions. I think all the other things that he doesn't really have all the tools necessary. He's definitely older for being a quarterback coming out right now. And I say that all those things are just kind of going against him in that way, and I just don't think he's the talent necessary to be a top 5 quarterback in this year's class. Again, this quarterback class is awful, so maybe he is a top 5 guy in this year's class, but when I compare him to other quarterback classes I've seen in the past, it does not even close. So it is what it is on that. But the other two quarterbacks I did work on was Garrett Nussmeier, who was the quarterback out of LSU, and then Drew Aller. So I'll go through these two and then kind of end the podcast from there. But I did do the work on them, so even without Jace here, I do at least want to kind of give my thoughts. So Garrett Nussmeier, I'll go first. He's the 5th-ranked quarterback in Chris Sims' rankings, and I'll give you my thoughts on him. So he's 6'2", 203. He has a smaller quarterback. I think he's sitting around 6'1". 6'2" is what he's. 6'2" is where he's at. So he's smaller as in stature, so he doesn't have a lot of weight on him at all. He's sitting definitely under 200 pounds normally, but he does have a cannon of an arm. He played a lot better in 2024 than 2025, so maybe the gunslinger mentality kind of got coached out of him with Brian Kelly from 2024 and just made him a lot worse in 2025. But I don't know. But again, he still was making crazy decisions in 2025. And throwing the football in bad spots and everything. He played terribly on his own, which I don't think you can totally blame on Brian Kelly, even though I do think Brian Kelly does have a propensity to kind of tear players down and not necessarily make them their greatest. Other than Jaden, why am I forgetting his name? That's not good. Jaden. Oh no, it's Jaden. This is a bad time to be forgetting names, huh? Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, that's his name. Other than Jaden Daniels, who found a way to get better under Brian Kelly, not a lot of other quarterbacks can say the exact same thing because Brian Kelly's just not a good head coach. Sorry, he is fine, but he's not a elite head coach. And his coaching style just has a way of grinding on you and maybe taking the best out of you. So again, but I'm not going to blame that all on him. I think Garrett Nussmeier definitely made a lot of bad decisions all on his own. So he knows he has a cannon. So I'm going back to Garrett Nussmeier now. So he does know he has a cannon when it comes to his arm. He plays like it. So he does make a lot of bad decisions thinking I can fit it in there, which he does. There's so many throws he does. He throws out there where it's like, man, I can fit it in there. And it's just like, man, I know you have a good arm, but you can make a better decision than this. He can throw different arm angles. He is an easy thrower. Everything he throws, he does not have to put a lot of effort into to throw the football at all. His arm is an absolute cannon. He really is. And when he is reading the defense and making good decisions, he's a son of a coach, so you can tell that he does have that in him a little bit. But it just feels like his own ego and knowing how good his arm is can kind of get him in trouble. Like I said before, I can fit it in there. He has a willingness to run, but he's not as athletic as Simpson at the smaller size. So when it comes to how I see Simpson running, I think Simpson can get running to his top speed a little bit quicker, where I think he can get some extra yards when necessary. I don't think Garrett Nussmeier can do nearly that. Like, he's a little bit more lumbering when he tries to make any athletic movements outside of throwing the football. He can extend the plays and make throws on the run with accuracy and anticipation, so he can do that. He doesn't have that in his bag. But again, it's all back to making good decisions. He did play hurt until he was benched in 2025, so he is going to go out there and be a warrior and try to do that. But because of the frame, getting hurt will be hard to avoid. So when it comes to what he can do and how big he can get, like, doesn't have a frame to kind of put on 10 to 15 extra pounds to make him more durable in the NFL. So when I look at that and know that, like, yeah, you played hurt and you played tough, but it's just, if you're not going to sit here and be able to put on extra weight to kind of make you be able to last longer, on top of all the other things that are a little bit deficiencies in your game, I'm just not sure where teams should land on trying to pick him up and try to think he can be their next guy or even a backup. Maybe he can be a very good backup that can do some good things, but I just don't ever see him being a number one quarterback, like starter for an NFL franchise. I just don't see it based on what I saw out of him. So again, the arm is probably the best in this whole class. Like, when he's throwing, man, it's an easy thrower. He has a howitzer of an arm. Like, it's not even close to anybody else's arm. Isn't even close to what his is, because of how easy of a thrower he is. Just effortless, natural thrower of the football, honestly, for him. But that's honestly his best trait, and I feel like he does rely on that too much to where it does have him make mistakes. The last quarterback that I did work on was Drew Aller. Again, I only did this because he was nowhere near Chris Sims' rankings, and I think Chris Sims on this one was actually pretty honest and was definitely on top of all the issues that Drew Aller has, and I totally agree with them. But I did want to do it because I just think that there is going to be a team, and I'm very scared about the Steelers being this team. I'm totally honest with you, with them playing in Penn State, obviously the same state as Pittsburgh plays in. So I do think there's going to be a team out there, maybe, I think it could be Pittsburgh, but I hope not, that might trick themselves into thinking that if I can get him in, that is a ball of clay that I will be able to mold into being the quarterback that I need him to be. That he can be that lottery ticket if we give him the time necessary to do so. Okay? That is where I think the issues come in with him, okay? Because he played for 3 years at Penn State as a starter, and I think did not get any better throughout his time there. Can that be partially to the idea that his coaching was not good there? Not only was his head coach not all that great in James Franklin. Again, he's a good college football coach, but he's not great. And he's not necessarily an offensive guy either. So it's just like, again, I think he is an offensive guy, but it's just, that's not he's more of a CEO type. So it's not like he's getting elite coaching. And then all the coaches that James Franklin brought in to be his OCs either weren't actually good at their jobs or didn't have an offense that actually fit what Drew Aller was as a quarterback. I think the guy that they had coaching him these last 2 seasons, he's more of like a actual college OC that's trying to spread the football out, run the quarterback, have like a more of a like Drew Aller is like, people are going to trick themselves into thinking he's a Josh Allen type quarterback, but I don't think he has the same. I think he has a similar athleticism, but it's not as easy as Josh Allen. So I really do think Drew Aller is more of like a stand in the quarterback and throw and distribute the football type of quarterback at his best. Okay. Even though I don't think he has the arm, like the actual accuracy or anything like that to believe he can be that long term. But that's the type of quarterback he is. And the OC that James Franklin hired to be to be there for him doesn't run an offense that accentuates his strengths. So I will put partially some of that on the fact that he did not have the coaching necessary to make him the quarterback that he is going to, at his best, eventually be, right? But I think also you have to do a little bit of work on yourself to kind of make yourself a better quarterback. And one thing that you can work on by yourself is your fucking accuracy. And I think more often than not, when I look at the thing I was looking at, and I've obviously watched a lot of him because he's in the Big Ten and against Ohio State and all of that. So that's a team I do pay attention to on a week in, week out basis. Anytime there's a wide receiver running away from him, it is a 60-40 chance he will not be able to hit him at all. he has real accuracy issues, and it's due to his mechanics not being consistent. And there are times where his mechanics look good, like in games where he feels like he doesn't have to work all that hard against lesser teams. But as soon as bullets start flying and they're playing against a team that actually has some real talent on the other side and that can get after him, his mechanics break down and his accuracy goes down with it. And he doesn't have an arm, because there's just people that like can throw with their arm that's like just naturally accurate. And again, partially part of that can be taken up by, can get better by having good mechanics. But there are people out there, like a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is just naturally accurate, that even throwing off their back foot, not having the perfect mechanics, can still make it work because of how good their arm is. But that's not Drew Aller. He needs to have he needs his frame from bottom to top, from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, need to be perfect in order for him to make the right throw, because he doesn't, even though I think he has a powerful arm that can make big throws, but he doesn't have an accurate one. And that's the problem. So no matter how much training you do, when bullets start flying and it's time for competition, you're going to go back to what feels natural to you. And naturally, he is not he is not a accurate or good passer. He's just not. So Drew Aller at 6'5", 228, he is physical enough. He has every physical trait that a GM can ask for in a quarterback for today's NFL. Really is. You look at him and you see his frame, you see his size, you think Josh Allen. 6'5", 228. That is exactly what that's a lab. If you're making a Josh Allen clone, pretty close to that Drew Aller is. When his mechanics are right, he can accentuate his big arm, leading to big plays, but inconsistent, right? He is willing to run and can make throws on the run, but don't bet on it due to his accuracy issues. There are times where he's on the run, they can make some throws. Again, not big ones down the field, but like he can do it. It's there, I guess, sometimes. Very few out of the many. But it's there. I do have to give him that. But his accuracy is such an issue that I just don't think you can rely on that consistently. Like I said before, a GM will probably trick themselves into thinking they can fix him as a late round pick, and I just don't see it, man. I don't see it. Do not fall into this trap. I'm telling you, it is the worst thing ever, because I saw so much of him at Penn State over 3 years, and he never got better on his own. Some of the issues he has are things you can get better on your own, and it never got better. It just didn't. And I just think, and this is my other big thing about him, he's not a big moment quarterback. Whenever it's time for him to go out there and win the game for your team and make the plays necessary to go get the job done, he is never going to be a quarterback that's going to like put the team on his back and go make a play. It's just not what he is. And maybe that's partially due to his inaccuracies, to where he doesn't have the tools necessary. But I just don't look at him and see a confident enough quarterback in what he is, like in his own. Just like I talked about Fernando earlier, where I'm like, I feel like I can feel his emotions through the TV screen. When I watch Drew Aller on the TV screen, I do not feel like he thinks he can go out there and put a team on his back and win. And again, at the end of the day, football is a contact, gladiator, big bravado sport, and I just feel like you need to have that as a quarterback if you're going to be a guy to lead a franchise and go win football games and go win championships, and Drew Aller doesn't have that either. So not only does he not have the accuracy and the arm necessary, but he doesn't have the inner belief that he can go out and make things happen when things need to happen. That's just too much for me to have to ignore in order to trick yourself into thinking he can eventually be a real starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't see it, man. It's not good enough. It hasn't been good enough. And I just think there are, like I said before, I keep saying it, there's going to be a team dumb enough to make themselves feel like they can fix him, and it's not going to fucking happen. I'm telling you. And again, if it fucking happens, I'll have to eat it on this one. I'll have to eat it. But the way I see it right now, I just don't think he has the tools necessary to get the job done. And I don't know what to do about it, man. I don't know what to do about it. I would say just stay away. But there is going to be a team that's going to be dumb enough to make that move, and they're going to be wasting their pick / their money on it. But, it is what it is on that. I just hope it's not the Steelers making that decision. I really hope. Because they're a sucker for an in-state guy, just like they already did with Kenny Pickett. So, even though I think Kenny Pickett was like a even different level because he was literally in the same building as them, because he played at Pitt, who they share a practice facility. So, again, that is part of it where I think it was a little bit more attached there. But, again, Penn State being in the same state, there's going to be a lot of Pittsburgh fans that are going to want to start clamoring for it. And I feel like there is a little bit of an organizational like, oh, he's from Pittsburgh, he can be a guy. And it's just going to, gross. I'd rather just put more of your time into Will Howard and hope that he can turn into something rather than try to pick up Drew Aller to do that, because it's just not going to happen with him. It's not going to fucking happen. He had 3 years at Penn State to make himself better, and he didn't. It didn't happen at all. No better. Again, coaching is partial part of that, but I think it's on him to work on it as well, and that just didn't happen over his 3 years as a starter for Penn State. It just didn't work. All right, and that's about it for all the quarterbacks that I had talked about. So hopefully you enjoyed that whole thing, because I know it took a while. We're 2.5 hours in, but again, we talked about a lot of different things today. A little bit of a tangent here or there, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. But I wanted to make sure to kind of get this podcast out this week, as I did the podcast earlier this week. I just want to make sure I made up for us not being here the last 2 weeks, and then just making sure we put another episode out for you. We'll be back next week. I think I want to do running backs. Just like we did today with the quarterbacks and wide receivers. I want to do some running backs for the NFL, for the draft, and I think I want to do running backs, and I think I'll do defensive ends. Yeah, and I'll have Jace look it up. If he wants to be a part of it, I'll let him go ahead and do some research as well, and we'll do it again. But if not, it'll just be me sitting here talking to a wall. I'll be more than happy to do that as well. So it is what I will definitely be back next week, because we have 2 weeks till the draft. So 13 days until the draft. So I definitely want to make sure we get all the draft talk in that we can before we get to the the draft. Why? I'm sorry. I'm having a brain aneurysm there. I did want to go through a mock draft for. Let me see here. What is the word? Who's the guy that I was looking for? I wanted to go through Peter Schrager's mock draft that he came out with a couple days ago, where he did a whole first-round mock, and he usually is a guy that's doing it all based off of what he hears. He's more of like a news outlet guy that's kind of getting information from people and organizations. But because we've already gone for 2.5 hours, I don't want to just sit here and make it extended if we don't have to. So I will go ahead and save it for the next pod. Either we'll do this one or we'll do a different mock draft if I find one I find more interesting for us to react to. I'll wait until then. So I don't want to make this one too much longer. It's already 2.5 hours. I've been going on for, half an hour by myself now with Jace having to leave a little early. So let's just go ahead and get out of here before I overstay my welcome. So if you've been listening for a while, we appreciate you. If you're jumping on, hopefully you like us and enjoy us enough to join us on this ride of talking about sports in the dumbest way possible. And you have gotten to listen to both me and Jace today, so I don't have to give you the whole spiel. Make sure you listen to a different pod with both Jace and I on to get a better idea of what we are at our best. I think we brought that today. I really do. The fact we went on a tangent about beating your kids with a belt, something we only us can do in this whole podcasting game. I think not only us, but I think we're pretty cool at it ourselves. So make sure, if you like us and enjoy us enough, if you could do a couple things for us, we'd appreciate if you could. Like our podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and rate the podcast 5 stars wherever you listen to us. We're pretty much available on all audio platforms out there, so you should have no problem finding us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And once you do find us, make sure you give us a like, give us a 5-star rating. We would definitely appreciate it if you could do that. Also, make sure you share us with friends, family, enemies, anybody you feel like could enjoy the podcast we put out on a weekly basis. We would love if you can do that, especially we do it weekly, non-football season, and once football season comes back around, we'll do 2 again. So make sure you share us with anybody you feel like can enjoy the podcast we put out on a weekly basis. And then last but not least, if you can follow us on Twitter and or X, whatever you'd like to call it, at JB Sports Pod is the podcast handle, at Jovante Boozer is my handle, And then at JaceBoozer1 is Jace's handle. And without Jace here, I'll go ahead and finish off here. So if you guys, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for always listening. Have a great day. Have a great night. And we will see you guys next week. Goodbye, y'all.